which did some wonderful Olympic coverage and analysis too. We'll get to a little bit later. AP fact-checked a claim that they platformed from some anonymous X-user that,
Yeah.
per a passage in Hillbilly Elegy, JD Vance had carnal relations, or I don't know, vinyl relations with
Oh,
a couch. And of course, as we have talked about many times, you have to believe the couches.
exactly. We always believe the victim first. Apparently there was rubber gloves involved and couch cushions, things. But I'm just saying, if you want to know the gross lies that were spread, yes.
It's just a hoax, but AP turned it into a story that got
Yeah.
around because it appeals to people's period interest, but also because they did a fact check on it. They did a fact check on something that they didn't fact check. Interesting. But this, and then once that didn't pan out, then they took it down. This is the sort of lengths that you're going to see the DC press corps go to tear down Trump and Vance and to prop up Kamala and a player to be named later. The story, which did not go out to on the wire to our customers, you still have some, didn't go through our standard editing process. We're looking into how that happened. Yes.
This is great.
The FBI is going to investigate
Oh,
that as
no,
soon as they
yeah.
find the cocaine in the White House. But anyway, so the JD Vance couch story, that's fun. And actually, when the DC press corps, the Associated Press in this case, defiles themselves like this, makes a mockery of themselves, it makes our jobs a lot easier, and it makes it a lot easier for people to do what they should be doing, which is to basically ignore these outlets. We have already preordained what was to come, and it's coming full throttle.
Well, it's not only that. Our governor of Illinois was on the Sunday morning talk shows, and we're trying to get it talking about him in couches. It's our governor. And that was after the AP came out and did a correction.
Yeah, they
And the
didn't.
way he said it to you, he's like, I got you, couch. I got your back, you fluffy couch, you.
Uh,
Ugh. I can't wait for you to hear this. It's so gross.
yeah, I saw JB Pritzker on the Sunday talkies, and what they do then is it's just the wraparound smear, a wrap up smear, I think is the actual phrase that we've talked about before, which is that JD Vance is weird. He's
Yeah, he's
weird. That
creepy.
this is what you heard some people saying. They didn't want to take ownership of this invented story, so they say he's weird, and then this folds in with the childish cat lady, what they're still trying to prosecute. And you had April Ryan weigh in on that. Oh, the vaunted April Ryan from the Grio. She's some sort of like
What
uh,
publication does she work for?
I mean, she was with American Urban
Right.
Radios when she was White House correspondent. Now she's been sainted with the MSNBC contributor title, and so now she is a go-to person for these huge stories like the quote they dug up from J.D. Vance from a few years ago about who runs the Democratic Party and by extension this country. J.D. Vance was on Megyn Kelly's podcast defending himself.
Obviously, it was a sarcastic comment. I've got nothing against cats. I've got nothing against dogs. I've got one dog at home, and I love him, Megan. But look, this is not, people are focusing so much on the sarcasm and not on the substance of what I actually said. And the substance of what I said, Megan, I'm sorry, it's true. It is true that we become anti-family. It is true that the left has become anti-child. It is simply true that it's become way too hard to raise a family.
Well, April Ryan, that was not good enough context for April Ryan, who made this comparison.
What I'm hearing is Donald Trump part two, when Donald Trump said you can grab a woman by the pee while eating a Tic Tac, and then coming back trying to explain that. That's what it sounds like to me. A different day, a worse version of a man that this nation is trying to grapple with one way or the other.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same line. You have that option.
Well, there you go. I mean, this is some revered member of the White House press corps. Again, in the event that anybody needed any more evidence, and this is what you get when she puts on her other hat as MSNBC analyst, J.D. Vance's words about some man-hating shrews that happen to be in the upper echelons of the Democrat Socialist Party are angry, childless cat ladies, which is just factual.
Well, what did you think when JD Vance said, "Well, I didn't mean to offend cats"?
Yeah,
I mean, it was
yeah.
kind of Trumpish, but it was deserved at the time. I mean, come on. People have got their panties in a bunch over this, and they really
This
should
idea
not
that
need
the
to.
people who choose not to have kids are being vilified by JD Vance, and then it's going to be he's going to
Raise
set
your
up
taxes.
Pinochet-style death squads to hunt down people who chose not to have kids. They're just full hysteria all the time because this is what they have. They have to whip their base into a frenzy, number one, to turn them out, and the way that you turn them out is you scare the hell out of them. But anyway,
Yeah.
none of this dissuaded JD Vance from joining Trump on the trail this weekend, and they were in St. Cloud, Minnesota for a big rally. By the way, I note that Trump.
Did you see the thousands that were outside, too? There was, 15,000 outside, 13,000 inside?
And I note that Trump is, speaking of outside inside, he is going to continue to hold outdoor rallies now, which he absolutely should. Secret Service should be able to do their job, and he should be able to hold outdoor rallies. And of course, this is a stroke of genius, returning to Butler, Pennsylvania for a rally.
Oh,
Can,
I got the chills when I heard that news.
can you imagine the turnout there's going to be for that? So I think that date is TBD, but he is going back to Butler. Anyway, Vance was there to address Kamala straight away. I'm talking about in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and address comments that Kamala had directed to JD Vance and his girlfriend on the couch.
I saw the other day Kamala Harris question my loyalty to this country. That's the word she used, loyalty. And it's an interesting word, simplify, loyalty, because there is no greater sign of disloyalty to this country than what Kamala Harris has done at our southern border. And I'd like to ask the Vice President, what has she done to question my loyalty to this country? I served in the United States Marine Corps. I went to Iraq for this country. I built a business for this country. And my running mate took a bullet for this country. So my question to Kamala Harris is, what the hell have you done to question our loyalty to the United States of America?
Well, that's whipping up the base, too.
Yeah, you think? Real quick, I just want you to hear this because Governor Pritzker is such a tryhard. He's like, I'm going to go on the Sunday morning talkies and talk about couches 2 hours after the AP debunked the story.
I mean, they really are. The things that they stand for. Donald Trump, of course, is afraid of windmills, and, he talks about all kinds of crazy stuff. His running mate, as you probably have heard, is, getting known for his obsession with couches and somebody who is hiding his views on a woman's right to choose. And then just broadly, the attack on people who are childless and saying that we're going to raise taxes on
Well, his comments later about the value add that Kamala brings to the ticket were even more hilarious. Michael Southside.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Thank you both for taking my call. I kind of feel like in the last few days, the mainstream media has sunk to a new low. It's amazing to me that somehow J.D. Vance's old media appearance are now fair game for the media, but Kamala Harris's are not. Go figure.
Well,
We'll bring it to you here.
Thanks for the call, Michael. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, too, because, I still run into people, like, over the weekend that are so worked up about Kamala. Can Trump really win? And this and that. We're doing this all over again, like we were at the beginning of this year when it came to the old big guy who's, now exited stage left. Anyway, just remember... Remember what they thought of Kamala Harris not so long ago. I'm not talking about the 2020 primary where she didn't make the Iowa caucus, where the more people saw of her, the less they liked her. I'm talking about in the run-up to this re-election for that ticket, when all the talk was, whether or not Kamala should be dumped from the ticket.
Right. We had Nancy Pelosi. We played that soundbite where he could do better.
Right. So it went from Kamala should be dumped to, of course, ultimately post-debate performance, Biden being dumped. But this is what the American people thought of her, which was, and that attitude, generally speaking, which was driving the question of should she stay or should she go? I mean, and this is across the board. I'm not talking about, oh, this is just on Fox News and stuff. Listen, you'll recognize the voices, and if you don't, we'll tell you who they are.
There are reports that say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president.
Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings.
Swing voters don't like Harris.
Chris Wallace.
How big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
She's a pretty big drag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision.
They don't like her. There's lots of reasons they don't like her.
Kamala Harris's approval rating is now at 28%, which is an historic low for any modern vice president.
We're hearing it from mainstream media, one outlet after another, one leak after another. That Kamala Harris is the worst vice president ever, the worst politician ever.
We don't see the vice president. What people are saying to me, and I'm sure they're saying it to you, where's the vice president? Some White House officials are feeling that she came off looking unprepared for inevitable questions about when she might visit the southern border.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
The point that Lester Holt was making was obvious to anyone else who was watching this interview, which is that the issues at the border are inextricably linked with the portfolio that she's been given.
The border is secure. We have a secure border.
Bidenomics is working.
Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
He picked Kamala Harris to be his running mate. She was ranked and is ranked as the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. So he could have gone the other way, but he went to the left.
Joe Biden is running for re-election, and I will be his ticket mate. Full stop. Full stop. That's it.
Yeah, so again, I know we're in this honeymoon phase because they have to rebirth her and reintroduce her sui generis to the American people. And so her favorability ratings have improved because she's in this honeymoon period, and then you'll have the convention, and she'll get a little bit bump from that. But the race hasn't changed. Race hasn't changed. And she's a 60-year-old woman. The more people see her and are reminded about who she is, the less likable she gets, the less popular, viable she gets. That is going to happen.
Okay. Quick text message. Dan and Amy, the JD Vance couch was named Lovesack, right?
Yes.
That is a brand of couch.
You could do a little, instead of Love Shack, Love Seat. Somebody needs to do a Love Seat parody using Love Shack as the, where's Weird Al when you need him?
I know. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, speaking about the border being part of her portfolio, as you just heard there, reported by CNN. Yeah, the border is part of her portfolio. Well, let's dig into that a bit more, shall we, at 5:38.
But first, let's stop by the newsroom. Good Monday morning to Mike Scott.
5:32, thunderstorms on the way, 73. Vice President Harris heading to Houston this week for the funeral of Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. Harris will attend Thursday's service for her sorority sister who passed away earlier this month after battling cancer. The Democrat governor of Maryland highly critical of members of his own party who publicly demanded President Biden end his re-election campaign. Maryland Governor Wes Moore on ABC's This Week.
I'm a loyalty person, and I believe that you can have proper conversations and tell people the truth and be able to tell them what you're hearing without also then turning around and publicly then trying to embarrass them.
Several top Democrats are among those rumored to be on a short list, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker for Harris's VP pick. He joined ABC's This Week and said he has spoken to Harris in the last week.
I pledged to her that no matter what the outcome of this process, that I'd be working hard for her and making sure that she wins in November. It's too important. We've got too much at stake.
However, Pritzker is not among the top names being mentioned. Those are Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. President Biden today will propose term limits for Supreme Court justices. He'll also push for a constitutional amendment to override the court's recent decision. The president enjoys some immunity for official acts. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez are both declaring victory after yesterday's presidential elections there. Speaking during a trip to Tokyo, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
It's critical that every vote be counted fairly and transparently, that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and independent observers without delay, and that the electoral authorities publish the detailed tabulation of votes.
Venezuela's National Electoral Council says Maduro beat Gonzalez 51 to 44%. At least 9 are badly hurt this morning after a restaurant roof collapsed in Naples, Florida. It happened at La Trattoria about 6:45 p.m. First responders worked to help get people out of the building. They're still assessing injuries. Police have an ID on a body that was pulled from Lake Michigan near 31st Street yesterday. Marine units pulled the man's body from the lake in the 3100 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. One person is dead after falling at Starved Rock State Park Saturday afternoon. What caused that fall was not immediately clear. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources says the 38-year-old Oswego man fell about 55 feet after climbing over a restricted barricade. Cubs score 3 in the top of the ninth in a 7-3 win over Kansas City, and over the weekend traded out Christopher Morel, sending him to Tampa Bay for Isaac Paredes. Northsiders also trade for Blue Jay reliever Nate Peterson over the weekend. Sox lost to the Mariners 6-3. That is 14 straight losses. The news is a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's Word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the Word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
540. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident in Wilmette this morning. Skokie and Glenview Road. Bishop Ford, road work. Outbound right at the Steel Bridge, slowing things down. And the Kennedy inbound already jammed up as you travel on the inbound side between Foster and Montrose, and on the outbound side between as you approach Mannheim, headed for the big airport this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Variable clouds. Thunderstorms are moving through the area. Very humid. High near 80. Right now 73. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Getting back to some of the issues, the messaging piece of this campaign, Trump versus Kamala, it's just really not that complicated. It's almost a paint by numbers campaign. And I think you're seeing from Trump in the week or so that Kamala has been the de facto nominee. I think you're seeing an understanding of that. And we'll get to that in a second. But it really is everything that Kamala has said and everything she's been part of doing over the last 4 years, up against who she's pretending to be now, up against the priorities of the American electorate, what greatly concerns them. One of those things is safety generally, the safety that comes from border security and safety that comes from local policing. And Kamala's on the wrong side of both of those issues, as we know, and the record is replete with examples to document that fact. So, before we get to what she said, let's give yet another installment of what people are actually experiencing. Oh, and by the way, these are in mainly big blue cities, big blue city USA, where a lot of people are getting mugged, quite literally, by the reality of the political choices they've made. Let's go to Clinton Hill, New York. That's in Brooklyn. The residents there are protesting a 4,000-bed migrant shelter in their hood. They've been protesting since it opened up. That protest didn't work because, well, it opened up. They predicted things would be bad for the neighborhood, and things have gotten bad for the neighborhood. Who would have thunk it? Well, everyone. But this Clinton Hill, New York City enclave, 97% for Biden-Harris.
Well, then don't vote for them.
Well,
idiots,
we'll
wake
see,
up.
We'll see if there is some rethinking of their political choices.
Some here are frightened now just to go outside.
Now it feels like that whole section
we're doing that, and that's what
is just not available to the community
asking our local elected
anymore.
That
So our parks are not available to
Can't go there.
anymore.
Search out and give us a list of all of the empty
can't go
lots
to the
that
parks.
there are.
Migrants from a 4,000-bed shelter nearby fill the sidewalks. They sit on park benches, on stoops and curbs, under the BQE overpass. So many people crowded in here, residents feared what was coming.
We have been witnessing the escalation in violence on the street and in the community for months now.
We've been pleading with the mayor, as we've seen increased violence, that this was going to be inevitable.
And on Sunday night, it came. 2 people were murdered here, a third critically injured just outside one of the 2 adjacent shelters in Clinton Hill. It is a neighborhood now, pleading for help. Residents came together tonight to demand the city provide more protection for them now and move to downsize the 2 enormous and crowded migrant shelters in Clinton Hill.
There is simply no universe where you can cram 4,000 vulnerable people together safely. Do you believe us now?
Raise your hand if you support sanctuary city policy, Clinton Hill. Everybody's hand would have to go up.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us at that same line, 312-642-5600. I live by a 400-person shelter. I can't imagine 4,000. There's not enough room in a park for that.
Well,
and can you imagine the garbage? I mean, look at Gage Park. They had tens of thousands of cigarette butts on the floor. It looked like it snowed, Dan.
Well, this is the point, that this is an issue that is transcendent when it comes to people's partisan politics, because it's been delivered to their doorstep. And what they supported in theory, they don't seem to like quite as much in reality.
Well, what happens when I'm sorry for interrupting. When school starts in the fall, they're going to have enough classroom space for these kids?
So no security at the border and not insufficient policing locally. That's a bad 1-2 combination for the left, and Kamala Harris has been the one throwing those punches. With help from big blue city mayors and the governors in those states as well that are deep blue, like our own.
Oh.
Mayor Adams was pressed on this issue. Hey, Clinton Hill, New York, they're asking for a little help. Then that 4,000-bed migrant shelter, sort of a wrecking ball to the neighborhood. Here's his response.
They're extremely dangerous. We're dealing with violent individuals that are not representative of the overwhelming number of people who are coming here as migrant and asylum seekers.
Exactly.
Big city living, Dan.
I'm sorry that happened, but what happened is not representative of the overall population. Therefore, we're not going to do anything about it. That's what he's saying.
2 preventable murders. I don't know.
It's not representative. It's too bad that it happened. It happens everywhere. You hear this all the time. This is the rationalization. It happens everywhere. It's not just Clinton Hill. It's not just New York City. It happens everywhere. No, it does. It happens everywhere. You have politicians pursuing the same policies that New York City has, the same policies that Kamala Harris has promoted, and Biden and the entire Democrat Socialist Party, the entire congressional delegation in this state, Illinois. Remember them? The General Assembly. Remember them? The entire political power structure in the state, the same thing. And they would give you the same response that Mayor Adams gave because they're reading from the same playbook. Of course they are.
People need to see this video. We'll tweet it out.
This is
answer.
97%. This is a little community in Brooklyn. 97% Biden-Harris. So anyway, speaking of that, so let's hear from the Clinton Hill, New York residents from the borough of Brooklyn, and then let's hear what Kamala Harris's priorities are when it comes to border security and local security. Comes to border policing and local policing. We brought you on Friday reminding you that when she was interrogating as a U.S. Senator a nominee for an assistant position at ICE, Deputy Secretary, she asked him to comment on her comparison of the KKK to ICE. This is when defunding ICE was all courant because AOC and the Socialist Spice Girls were promoting it. She's not saying that so much anymore. She's also a big fan of defunding the local police. We'll get to that. But this is Kamala Harris's priority. Make sure you use the right phrases. Don't use improper phrases, because those people in Clinton Hill, those people downtown Chicago, those people meandering through the suburbs, panhandling and so forth.
They're in Park Ridge. They're in Skokie. They're everywhere now, folks.
Don't you describe them improperly. This is the priority.
It is wrong to somehow suggest that an undocumented immigrant is a criminal. Being an undocumented immigrant is not a crime. I know what a crime looks like. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is...
You get it. Because she repeats it, because she's got, these stock lines or anecdotes or vignettes that she repeats over and over again.
That's all she has. All she knows. She's an empty vessel.
Back in the Summer of Love, remember that? When the protests were mostly peaceful? And the push then was to defund the police. Kamala was on a Zoom podcast interview, and this was her view on defunding the police. Clinton Hill, New York, they're saying, without saying it, we want to close the border. They're explicitly saying we need more police for sure if we're going to have this 4,000-bed migrant shelter in our hood.
So then if you're for overhauling, where do you stand on defund the police?
Look, right. So here's the thing. Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong. Because, by the way, if you want to look at upper middle class suburban neighborhoods, they don't have that patrol car. They don't have those police walking those streets. But what they do have, they have well-funded schools. What they do have is home ownership, high home ownership rates. What they do have are thriving small businesses. What they do have is access to public health and mental health services. So this whole movement is about rightly saying, we need to take a look at these budgets and figure out whether it reflects the right priorities.
That's slow walking, defund the police. More cops on the street. We know that doesn't work. Interesting.
Oh, really?
The denizens of those neighborhoods of which you speak, Madam Vice President, they seem to know that it does work, because that's what they're clamoring for, aren't they? Eduardo, Tampa Bay, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. I saw this in Daily Mail. There's like a Christ the Redeemer over there outside of El Paso in the mountains, and it's controlled by the cartel, and that's how they're using sneaking in the illegals into El Paso and other places in the U.S. border. So hopefully she's going to bring that up, or somebody from the Biden administration is going to bring that up.
Thanks for the call, Eduardo. What's the sneaking in business?
Well, no one sneaks in.
Who has to sneak?
You don't have to.
We've rolled out the red carpet.
Right.
Would you like something to drink? Let me introduce you to the concierge services offered by the Department of Homeland Security.
Now, would you like a flip phone, an iPhone, Verizon, T-Mobile? What's your preferred carrier?
They make reservations through an app that we provided.
Right.
It's like
no one's sneaking anywhere.
Yeah. When's check-in time? George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, Kamala's more sensitive to the human condition than the average person.
Okay.
Well, and One thing, I mean, we cannot.
I don't know what that
I
means.
know. One thing we can't forget is that she helped the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which helped get low income, cash bails for low income thugs who were arrested during the 2020 riots.
No, there's no question. This is another issue of the local policing matter. And remember, Minnesota, you had black residents of Minnesota sue the city saying they were being discriminated against. They were not being provided equal protection under the law as guaranteed by the city charter, state constitution. I can't remember which, probably a combination of the two. And they won. Yeah, the black residents of neighborhoods in Minnesota that were being basically burned down by these mostly peaceful protesters, they wanted more police, and they got them. Good for them. But no thanks to Kamala. And this is the subject of a spot that the Trump campaign has just rolled out. Because all this fact checking going on. She didn't raise money for the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
Yeah, she tweeted about it and put a link on where you can make donations.
Yeah,
it's right there. People, wake up.
That's called raising money for
yes.
it.
Harris sending this out on X. If you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota.
Thanks to Harris's promotion, the group reportedly raised $35 million in just a few weeks.
Darnica Floyd, charged with second-degree murder for stabbing a friend to death. She got out of jail, too. A twice-convicted rapist, currently charged with kidnapping and sexual assault, and he walks out, too.
The Freedom Fund raked in donations when it was promoted by many, including now Vice President Kamala Harris.
Sean Michael Tillman shot and killed a passenger on a train platform after reportedly being released from jail 3 weeks prior. All thanks to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
Donovan Boone was charged with breaking into the home of an ex-girlfriend and choking her. Freedom Fund bailed him out for $3,000 cash, and he hasn't shown up for court since.
I often don't even look at a charge specifics when I bail someone out.
The Hennepin County attorney called out the Minnesota Freedom Fund for bailing Mosley out of jail twice previously, even though he was arrested for having a gun in the courthouse.
The Minnesota Freedom Fund, which pays cash bail for low-income criminals, paid Tims's entire $10,000 bail in cash.
11 days later, police found a man bleeding from the head and ears in this alley. Police were able to arrest Tims in connection to this violent assault.
Howard was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The Minnesota Freedom Fund acknowledged supporting Howard's bail.
Yeah, we don't need the Minnesota Freedom Fund here because we have J.B. Pritzker and the political power structure that just made it law to eliminate bail, so you don't need Kamala Harris to raise money. But this is basically their version of the Safety Act in Minnesota back in 2020 because cash bail was still enforced.
And even though we have a tweet, and that tweet was read in that ad, WCCO, which is huge in Minnesota, the whole entire state, that's the CBS affiliate, they had a headline that said, despite Trump's claim and 2020 tweets showing support, Harris never donated to Minnesota Freedom Fund.
Yeah. No,
I mean, shame on them. They're just rewriting history right before your eyes, people.
She just helped raise $35 million, as you heard these same media outlets questioning the veracity of what Trump said. That's what they reported, and now, again, they have to recast. We understand. Speaking of which, by the way, in the land of Lincoln, where we do have the Safety Act, just want to update you, too, see if this, meets with any concerns about safety. I know that there's a lot of kids being silly out there. I know that Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker know what works, and they're doing the work every day because that's how much you have to do the work.
Do the work.
You got to do it often.
You got to step up and do your part, Dan.
Number 21, just since we're talking Minnesota Freedom Fund, since we made it the law here, so Kamala doesn't have to raise money. Number 21.
Oh, no.
For nearly 5 months, an arrest warrant was active for this guy because he stopped showing up for court in a pending stolen motor vehicle case. Caught him up. Officials caught up with him a couple weeks ago, hauled him before the judge on July 12th. He was released again. 3 days later, he beat a man to death with a board on a West Side street. He is the 21st person accused of shooting, killing, or trying to shoot or kill someone in Chicago this year while on felony pretrial release. The crimes involve 34 victims, 7 of which died. That's, that's the sort of, you heard the Kamala Harris program nationally. This is the Kamala Harris and the whole Democrat Socialist Party program here locally in Chicago. Man committed 12 robberies and burglaries while on pretrial release for 6 similar cases. Also reported this week from CWB Chicago. So, again, the issues, the intersection between national security and local security, and how far afield Kamala and the boys and girls of the left are. That's going to be an issue that dogs them for the next 100 days. I'm telling you.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, our latest installment of Sports and Politics. What else? The opening ceremony of the Olympics, 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom for news here at home and around the world. The one and only Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan, a man and a baby shot in an apparent targeted shooting in the Little Village neighborhood. Will get reaction from the community from last night. A tanker crash, spilling fuel near the Stevenson Expressway. A boy is in critical condition after falling from a window. Dalton trustee is challenging controversial Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Cubs pull away from the Royals while the White Sox lose to Seattle. Cubs also acquire a new third baseman from Tampa Bay for Christopher Morel. Thunderstorms are heading into the area. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
It would require acts of Congress. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. What President Biden is calling for this morning in a Washington Post op-ed.
Proposals to reform the Supreme Court. These would include no immunity for crimes a former president committed in office, term limits for Supreme Court justices, and a binding code of conduct for the Supreme Court, saying in part, quote, "This nation was founded on a simple yet profound principle. No one is above the law."
That's Fox's Todd Pyro. It's been a week since President Biden stopped running for re-election, and his replacement as presumptive Democratic nominee Vice President Harris has already raised more than $200 million.
As Veep stakes ramps up, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, who's believed to be a top contender for Harris's running mate, is campaigning for her in Pennsylvania today. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer will be beside him.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. A controversial vote in Venezuela.
I am Nicolas Maduro Moros, re-elected president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and I will defend our democracy.
But the U.S. doubts Maduro won, questioning the validity of the results as Venezuela's opposition candidate claims to have gotten 70% of the votes.
Mixed reaction pouring in from world leaders, too. So Argentina's president, who has called Maduro a dictator, reacting, writing, Argentina will not recognize another fraud in hopes that this time the armed forces will defend democracy and popular will. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin today congratulating Maduro, and Cuba's president singing his praises.
Fox's Alex Hogan. The Senate will hold more hearings into the Trump assassination attempt tomorrow, talking to the Secret Service's new acting director. James Woods leads the Beaver County SWAT team, tells ABC News.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong.
The gunman, Thomas Crooks, was killed by Secret Service after the shooting. His motive is still being investigated. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees. Thunder showers are crossing the area this morning. Mostly cloudy skies at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. And police have an ID on a body that was pulled from Lake Michigan near 31st Street yesterday. The CPD Marine Union pulled the man's body from the lake near the 3100 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Hours later, Cook County Coroner's Office ID'd him as 40-year-old Lorenzo Tobin of Carroll Stream. Police confirming that Tobin was the man who went missing after an overcrowded boat capsized near 31st Street Beach. One person is dead after falling at Starved Rock State Park Saturday afternoon. The IDNR reports the incident happened around 4:30 at Illinois Canyon. The 38-year-old Oswego man fell about 55 feet after climbing over a restricted barricade. 3 are dead, nearly 24 wounded after shootings in Chicago this weekend. The Little Village community is reeling, and Sunday night demanded extra resources from the city of Chicago after a baby boy was among 2 critically injured in a shooting on Saturday. Baltazar Enriquez is with the Little Village Community Council.
This is a 3-month-old baby.
if you stay quiet, you're just as guilty as the guy that pulled the trigger.
The shooting unfolded in that community plagued by violence, prompting activists to rally for action and peace. CTA Red Line Extension Project getting a major boost in federal funding. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin and others now say the Federal Transit Administration will provide the project with about $746 million taxpayer dollars in the first year, an increase of nearly $400 million. And a trustee with the village of Dalton officially launching his mayoral campaign in hopes of unseating the controversial incumbent Tiffany Henyard. Jason House was joined by several Dalton allies on Sunday.
We're going to have a vision that operates with transparency, openness. Open the doors to the Village Hall of Dalton. Taxpayers right now can't even walk in their own building.
An event to kick off the campaign was held Sunday afternoon, attended by residents, village staff, and firefighters who've been without a contract for 5 years. Cubs 7-3 winners over the Royals, and they make a trade ahead of the trade deadline, acquiring third baseman Isaac Paredes from Tampa Bay in exchange for Christopher Morel. White Sox have their second 14-game losing streak of the season after falling 6-3 to the Mariners on Sunday. Bears continue preseason work. They're getting set to play Houston in the Hall of Fame game on Thursday. The news is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdeliveryservice.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call,
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
6:08. Let's get a check on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Inbound Kennedy right now stacking up between Austin and Montrose. The outbounders, you're stacking up as you approach the big airport this morning. Busy day out today at O'Hare. And I-57 accident on the exit ramp on the off-ramp to I-80 bottling things up this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, variable cloudiness could pick up a thunderstorm, a high 80. Partly cloudy, humid thunderstorm in the area tonight, low 69. Morning thunderstorm in parts of the area. Otherwise, clouds and sun, warm and humid. A high tomorrow at 90. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
73 at O'Hare, 75 at Midway. Storms to our west. And your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We need our sports and politics intro.
Oh, that's right. Olympic style. Hit it, Justin. Or not.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
That hook is such a good earworm. I want to play it. So anyway, I'd love to be talking about Cook and Bacon, the synchronized diving team.
They were good. Did you see them? Oh, I can't imagine you watching synchronized.
Well, they won, didn't they?
Yeah, they won the gold. Yeah.
Cook
and Bacon.
Great comment. They were
besties.
Good. Yeah, they got the gold medal.
They did get the gold medal.
Yeah.
I watched it at 2 a.m. on Saturday. It was fantastic.
Wonderful commentary. Thank you, Greg Louganis.
You're welcome.
So I'd like to talk about them, but of course we have to talk about the opening ceremony because this has generated, a lot of protest and outrage. It turned out to be all much ado about nothing, though. When I finally got around to seeing it, I recognized that the hoopla was not worth it. As the Associated Press, the same people who brought you the JD Vance has sex with couches story,
love sack.
The outlet of record that puts their content out through the wires, so your local newspaper can regurgitate the nonsense that they invent. Anyway, Paris Olympics opening was wacky and wonderful and upset bishops. Paris didn't just push the envelope; it did away with it entirely, as it hammered home a message that freedom must know no bounds. What it turns out is that there were a bunch of far right-wing extremists that were a little upset about the apparent parody of the Last Supper, and they didn't understand that this was clearly just a message of love and inclusion, as Thomas Jolly, the artistic director, so said. So there you go. Not a big deal. So if you're upset, stop being upset and just fold in like you do, in your normal lives, where you will indulge the same sort of performances at your local high school or library.
312-642-5600. That's our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on the same line. Well, they pulled it. The YouTube channel, the French, Mr. Joly and the French, they pulled the opening ceremony from YouTube, even though everybody's already seen it. They apologized, for offending, there's 2 billion Christians.
No. They didn't apologize for offending. In the spirit of inclusion, they apologized. If people have taken any offense, we are, of course, really sorry. They weren't offended by it, and they don't know any people that were offended, but they heard some people might be offended. So if you were offended, we, of course, are apologetic that you were offended, even though we were not. That's what that was. Wasn't it? That's what they said. That's not an apology. That's I apologize if you were offended by something that we find perfectly acceptable. Of course they do. This was this is their celebrities and cultural icons all coming together, testicles and all, as we saw.
Banana hammocks, yeah, I know. And then
No,
a man
but
painted blue like a Smurf, and
but one of the testicles slipped out.
Oh.
And there was a
testy sighting?
There was a Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction.
oh no, not that.
Yeah,
Well, I was more
not quite as attractive.
That was offensive, but what happened earlier in the opening Olympics, they have two. I mean, it's a clown show, so you have two males and a female all dressed in the same kind of clownish outfit in the library, very seductive, and they're kind of flirting through the bookshelves. And then all of a sudden they end up in a room and they all start like not making it, just hugging each other and being seductive. And then the one guy comes and closes the doors like, don't you dare watch me when I have my threesome. Well, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when this was about the athletes. And it was just plain and simple when they had, start from A to Z and announce all the different countries that are coming in the stadium or whether down the Seine River. But that's what I remember. But now it's all about, how can we offend? How can we push the envelope so much to that people are going to talk about this? Jill Biden, the first lady who's there, said that it was beautiful, and I don't know how we're going to top that when we host the Summer Games in Los Angeles 4 years from now.
Maybe sacrifice a virgin. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what else we could do. People
I'm-
are peeing on each other at the gay pride parades in San Francisco. People are naked. Then you have this. I mean, what else is there? You're right. What are we going to do?
I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm struggling to get worked up about this. Was anybody really worked up about this? Was anybody surprised by this? 312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, look, it upsets some anachronistic, prudish bishops of an unhip church. So what? I mean, it's not something anybody wants to defend. I mean, they're talking about the church, these prudish bishops and who are unhip, like Robert Barron. Here's what Bishop Barron had to say about the ceremony.
This is Bishop Barron. A few days ago I did a video complaining about this outrageous opening ceremony at the Olympics, and the video went viral. And frankly, I had no intention of returning to the issue until this morning. I saw the so-called apology from the organizing committee, and I thought it's anything but an apology. In fact, it's kind of a masterpiece of woke duplicity. And so I just wanted to say a few things, because if they felt this is meant to mollify Christians, I would think again. Here's some of the things that were said. Clearly, there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. Give me a break. So we have a group of drag queens cavorting in a kind of sexually provocative way, clearly an imitation of Da Vinci's Last Supper, which presents to the world the Last Supper of Jesus. And no disrespect was meant. You think anyone takes that seriously? I love this. We tried to celebrate community tolerance. Yeah, tolerance. Except for those pesky 2.6 billion Christians on the planet. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's tolerated. All this lovely diversity.
Except them, right? But
Can you imagine if they did this to the the Muslims, or if they had Allah up there?
Yeah, but
There'd be riots. People would be murdered.
the 2.6 billion Christians. I mean, something the Lavender Bund learned long ago. Yeah, Christians may kick up a little dust when you mock their faith or sexualize their kids, but they'll settle down. And ultimately, they'll invite these same purveyors of love and inclusion that Bishop Barron was speaking about into their schools and libraries. I mean, what I saw from that opening ceremony, I mean, you could have seen at a student assembly at New Trier.
Or a drag queen story hour.
Yeah. So,
In Lake in the Hills.
Well, so this is why. So, I mean, so who really wants to defend their Christianity, or who wants to defend the Catholic Church? I mean, Bishop Barron does. He also made this comment. My mentor, Cardinal Francis George, remarked that the Christian faith can be lost in a single generation if Christians aren't vigilant. However, it won't be Christianity that will perish, because he was responding to Elon Musk. Unless there's more bravery to stand up for what's fair and right, Christianity will perish. Barron's response, which is more on point, it won't be Christianity that will perish, but Western civilization. You can't separate a tree from its roots and have the tree survive. Yeah, but we don't want to admit that that's the case. We don't want to admit that our country was founded as on Judeo-Christian values. We don't want to admit that. We don't want to defend it. and then we're surprised when this lavender bund that's taken over your schools and your libraries, and in some cases your churches, would use the opportunity of a global stage to push a socio-political message, to further celebrate libertinism. I mean, that this is a surprise. It can't be a surprise to anybody who is paying any attention.
Text message, Dan and Amy, I was watching with my kids when the threesome started, and I couldn't fast forward. They're young. My 11-year-old said, why would they do that? Don't they know kids are watching? And Kelly Clarkson, I don't know why they had her as a commentator, and Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning didn't say a word. And she went, oh, wait, what? Even that was her reaction when she saw this threesome get together, and then shut the door.
Yeah, right. Utah leaders criticizing Last Supper parody at Paris Olympics. Not all of them. Mitt Romney was there. Paris 2024 opening ceremony showcased the world's most beautiful city, imaginative, inventive, and memorable. That was memorable. Performance by Celine Dion touched hard. She epitomized the Olympic spirit with her determination, courage, and incomparable talent. Yeah, well, Celine Dion's great, and I'm glad she's able to sing after she's got that stiff person syndrome thing. But anyway, imaginative, inventive, and memorable. Mitt Romney, Pierre Delecto.
Pierre Delecto, that's right.
It was memorable.
Nothing to see here.
Gabby and Schaumburg.
Hi, good morning, guys. First of all, Celine Dion. That thing probably took 1,000 takes, and they patched it together. She was lip syncing. But anyhow, I can't.
How about that testicle? Was that testicle? Was that authentic, or was that
very
AI?
Real, Dan.
Okay.
I couldn't get any more real and bluer. But anyhow, I can't wait for the exploding burqas and Qurans for the finale.
Yeah, right.
That should
in 2
that'll
weeks.
win over big. Anyhow, ridiculousness. Have a great day.
Thanks, Gabby. Also, this just to pile on, because why not? Nobody's kick up a little bit of fuss, and then turns out Brazilian surfer named Joao Chianca. Anyway,
better you than me to pronounce that name.
He is a surfer.
Yeah.
His surfboard was adorned with an image of Christ. He had to remove it, he said, in order to be or be disqualified from the competition. He shared it on Instagram, but eventually deleted the post, probably not wanting to get disqualified from the competition. He received an order 2 weeks before the games to remove the image of Jesus Christ from his surfboard, saying that he's, according to the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, he's not authorized to place Jesus on his board because Christ is a religious figure, and the games have strict rules and focus on total neutrality. Well, that's what you saw the opening ceremony, total neutrality.
Right. Mm-hmm. Did the IOC have a say in that performance? They should have, because it's their product.
Yeah. Well, neutrality has to be subordinated to love and inclusion, which is what that opening ceremony was all about, right? One tech company, one sponsor, Olympic sponsor, wasn't having it. A company called C Spire said in a statement, C Spire is supportive of our athletes who have worked so hard to be part of the Olympics. However, we will not be a part of the offensive and unacceptable mockery of the Last Supper, which is why we're pulling our advertising from the Olympics.
Oh, good for them.
I guess it's a Mississippi-based, telecom company.
When did the Olympics become like a forcing people to celebrate people's sexuality? Just want to watch the athletes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're a little past that point in time in America where something is insulated from larger political and cultural goings on. So once you turn over your culture to these Bolsheviks, then you can expect that, and then you surrender to them, generally speaking, then you can expect them to occupy every available space. And that's what they're doing. Dave in Romeoville.
Hi, Amy kind of reminded me when she brought up Muslims. Remember the Charlie Hebdo situation?
Oh, yeah.
Where he got killed, and Barack Obama's first impression was like, he went out of his way to offend them. You know, it's wrong. You shouldn't kill people. But,
Yeah.
you know, when the whole world came together and they all joined hands. And the funniest thing, too, because I think President Obama had the right instincts. Like, no, I'm not going to celebrate this guy. But when there was a big backlash on it, he sent James Taylor there to sing "You Have a Friend."
Yeah, James
With,
Taylor
John
and
Kerry.
John Kerry. No, that was
John Kerry.
Yeah, a really important moment. Sure.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know, but we're still friends, and you know, they send them there. You know, it's just goofy. But yeah, I mean, everyone recognized there. A lot of people did. Like, you went out of your way to offend the Muslims. You know, it's mocking them. It's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just the same.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dave. But again, you know, you can't. There are terms that you can use. You can use white supremacist. You can use Christo-fascist. You can attack Christianity with impunity. But as we know from the nominee for the new Bolsheviks, there are phrases you can't use. Okay?
You must have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror. And we must.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. That radical Islamic terror or Islamist terrorists or Islamofascism, you can't use those terms.
Oh, okay. According to Mamala.
Mamala.
We got to get that Drew Barrymore clip out again of her like, oh, but you're my mom. You're my Mamala for the country.
My favorite part of the opening was that Marie Antoinette, the beheaded Marie Antoinette.
Oh, with the that was
because that's where we're going in the West.
I want to ask you about the wardrobe malfunction. Was it the blue man?
No. It was a different dude. It was a different dude.
Was it a dude that's a girl that's pretending to be a dude, or what do we? I mean, there's so many drag queens I couldn't keep up.
No, this was a dude in the kind of shorts dudes like to wear when they're performing in the Olympics. Sort of like those little go-go shorts, like when you back in the day when I used to dance on boxes on the club scene. This guy.
See. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. So we got to see.
He was in stilettos too, wasn't he?
I-
Wearing my shoes again. Hello.
I don't know, but again, wonderful celebration of love and inclusion. That's the official story. Please stick to it.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
I'm finding it. Don't worry. I'm here. All right. Guess what? If credit card debt is stressing you out and keeping you up at night, you need to call Team Hochberg about a fresh start debt consolidation loan. Meet Billy. He's 68. He's a veteran. His score is 658. Income from his 2 jobs, VA benefits, and Social Security totaled $112,000 a year living in a $275,000 single-family home in Crystal Lake. Billy accumulated $67,000 on his credit cards and didn't have the funds to pay them off. So he contacted Team Hochberg about their Fresh Start debt consolidation mortgage. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy helped Billy eliminate his credit card debt and saved him over $2,100 a month. Let's review. Cindy helped Billy pay off $67,000 of credit card debt and save more than $25,000 a year. What are you waiting for? Team Hochberg helped Billy and thousands of AM 560 listeners, but they can't help you if you don't call. The number to call, 855-563-2843. Wow. 855-563-2843, or simply visit 56david.com. That's 56david.com. The number again, 855-563-2843, or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. There are few things that unite Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill these days, but they do agree on one thing. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle had to go. Florida Congressman Mike Waltz called the testimony from Cheadle the worst testimony he's seen in his time in Congress. Cheadle's smug arrogance was a complete affront to the Americans our government officials are supposed to be serving. Even before Cheadle's appearance before the House Oversight Committee, it was clear she wasn't up to the job. After a colossal failure like we saw in the assassination attempt on Trump, our leaders in a different era would have willingly and contritely resigned. Failure used to be recognized as a breach of public trust, warranting the ultimate penalty. Pressure on Cheadle to resign came from both sides of the aisle. She was really forced out. Our Secret Service needs new and capable leadership focused on protecting leaders, not protecting their own careers.
Choosing where to send your kids to school is one of the most important decisions parents make. Even as the school year has come to an end, you might be thinking about where to send your kids to school in the fall, which is upon us. You need to know that private school might be an option for you and your family thanks to our friends at Half Price Schools. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find many different private schools from around Chicagoland offering a full year of tuition for half of the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find a private school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools across Chicagoland, including St. Andrew's Lutheran in Park Ridge, Christian Liberty in Arlington Heights, St. Peter Lutheran in Schaumburg, Ravenswood Christian in Chicago, and many more. So don't delay. The school year is upon us. Kids go back to school next month. Visit, and we're at the end of July, I think. I've got my calendar correct. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. Don't wait. Halfpriceschools.com. Visit it today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, most kids go back August 22nd, but not if you're in Chicago public schools. They pushed it back a week because of the DNC. So.
Oh, good. So they can all attend.
Exactly, because, they need 15,000 volunteers. All right, coming up on...
I meant for the protesters
outside.
I like the pro-Hamas, and the teachers' unions protesting. Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, 6:36, Ken Blackwell, former mayor of Cincinnati and Deputy Undersecretary of HUD, joins us to talk about the presidential race and some of the economic issues that also deserve a nice compare and contrast in the last 100 days. That's at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
73 degrees, cloudy skies at 6:31. President Biden today will propose term limits for Supreme Court justices. He'll also push for a constitutional amendment to override the court's recent decision. The president enjoys some immunity for official acts. Israel affirmed Hezbollah will pay a price after blaming the Lebanese militant group for a rocket attack in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights that killed 12 Arab Druze children. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
We stand by Israel's right to defend its citizens from terrorist attacks. We also don't want to see the conflict escalate. We don't want to see it spread.
Hezbollah firmly denies it was behind the strike. Israeli warplanes coordinated airstrikes against Hezbollah, targets deep inside Lebanese territory. Former President Trump says he'll continue holding outdoor rallies following the attempt on his life earlier this month. On Sunday, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu dismissed the former president's remarks over the weekend that people won't have to vote anymore if they elect him in November. The Republican governor was on ABC's This Week.
We want everybody to vote in all elections, but I think he was just trying to make a hyperbolic point that it can be fixed as long as he gets back into office and all that. But, classic Trump right there.
Sununu saying Trump was just making a point that he'll put the country on the right direction. Vice President Harris heading to Houston this week for the funeral of Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. We're just hearing from France this morning, where the government there says multiple telecommunication lines have been hit by acts of vandalism. Fiber lines and fixed and mobile phone lines have been cut or damaged as cities around France are hosting events for the Olympics. And concerns about water quality in the Seine led officials to call off the swimming portion of the Olympic triathlon training session for a second straight day. The sport's governing body and its medical team are banking on sunny weather and higher temperatures to bring levels of E. coli under control. Business news this morning, breaking here in Chicago. McDonald's saw profits slide 12%, and same-store sales fall globally for the first time since 2020. Police have an ID on the body that was pulled from Lake Michigan near 31st Street yesterday. Cook County Coroner's Office ID'd him as 40-year-old Lorenzo Tobin of Carroll Stream. Police confirmed Tobin was the man who went missing after a charter boat capsized near 31st Street Beach on Friday. 2 women are dead, 1 hospitalized after a major hit-and-run investigation and accident in East Garfield Park on Sunday morning. And the Little Village community is reeling, and Sunday night demanded extra resources from the city of Chicago after a baby boy was among 2 critically injured in a shooting on Saturday.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done here in the community so that we could get results.
Gracilia Garcia says, according to Chicago police, there is no one in custody. Cubs over KC 7-3, and they trade Christopher Morel to Tampa Bay for third baseman Isaac Paredes. White Sox fell to the Mariners Sunday 6-3. The news, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
If it's time for a new roof, your siding's looking old, you need new windows, gutters, or a reliable restoration company, trust me, AAA Roofing Contractors is who to call. They're the real deal. And speaking of deals, AAA offers a wide range of discounts, including military and healthcare provider discounts. And due to the recent storm, AAA Roofing Contractors is giving out free inspections in your neighborhood. The storm may have caused a lot of damage to your property, so please don't hesitate to reach out. AAA Roofing Contractors specializes specifically in insurance restoration claims. They're here to help you every step of the way so you get what you deserve. They value every shingle customer. In fact, they make sure clients are 100% satisfied. Schedule a free home improvement consultation now. Call 847-730-4026 or book online at arcroofinginc.com. Roofing, siding, gutters, windows. Family-owned AAA does it all and does it right, and are insurance specialists. That's 847-730-4026. arcroofinginc.com.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field. QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hi, I'm Charlie Moon. I've been in the trading game for almost 20 years, and I just discovered the most powerful trading tool I've ever seen. So if you're trading stocks or options, then listen up. This new AI-powered trade finder can find you stocks to consider trading, which have had gains as high as 1,729% and have had nearly perfect win rates. It analyzes the entire stock market in seconds and pumps out a list of trades for you to consider every single morning. And the trades it finds can be potentially profitable regardless of which direction the market is moving. So if you want in on this action, listen closely. For a short amount of time, I'm opening up free access to some of these picks and giving you the chance to get top trade ideas from the AI Trade Finder every day for 100% free. Just text TRADE to 76626. Stop trying to find the right stocks to trade on your own. Just text TRADE to 76626 now and get access to the top trades our AI finds every single day. Text TRADE to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Text TRADE to 76626.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39. Let's check the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. One major problem, Jane Addams, eastbound right before Gulf Road. An accident is blocking a left-hand lane this morning. We've got stop-and-go traffic on the Edens inbound between Foster and Montrose. 16 minutes in, Lake Cook Road to the junction. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Variable clouds with a thunderstorm. Warm and humid with a high near 80. Currently, clouds and 73 at O'Hare. Rain in Aurora, Joliet, DuPage Airport. Heavy rain in Morris. And your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're having to work overtime to disabuse people of this new Kamala that's being presented by the D.C. Press Corps, reminding even people who pay attention and who understand who Kamala is, they have the drop on her. But the reason that you dislike Kamala is the reason that most of the country dislikes Kamala. And yes, that'll be papered over by this hagiographic coverage for a time. But ultimately, over the course of the next 100 days, it's not a long time, but it's a long time in a political campaign.
99 days from today.
She will show herself to be who she is. She's a 60-year-old woman. She's not going to change. And by the way, just another example, sort of below the fold, we've talked about the border and local policing and reparations and so many other issues where she is very far left and very far left of where center mass is with respect to the American electorate. Well, this is how she earned the most leftist senator in the Senate title, beating out Comrade Bernie. But also it's just sort of on an interpersonal level. People don't like her the more they get to see her, and also the more they work for her. She had one of the top staff turnover rates in the Senate during her time there, and her time as vice president, there's been like a 92% turnover rate.
Yeah, people don't like working for her.
Gee, I wonder why that is.
Maybe because she's not nice to them. Maybe does she treat them with respect? Is she exercising strong leadership skills here, Dan, when you have half your staff, more than half, 92%, running out the door?
Well, this is a statement that Simone Sanders made about it once upon a time. Now that she's officially a licensed MSNBC propagandist, she won't be making this statement again, at least certainly not for the next 100 days. But this is what she said on little girl talk with Jen
Let it breathe.
Psaki back in the day when she was tasked to work for Mala. Now remember, Simone Sanders was on Bernie's. She was on Comrade Bernie's campaign, so she's on board with all the left-wing policy positions.
My experience had been, it was new for me when I worked for her because I had never worked for a high-profile woman before. I had only ever worked for men. And there was one day at work where I was like, ma'am, you might be the last woman I work for because this is a
There's a story there.
It's a lot. This a lot that we got to deal with over in here.
Well, girlfriend talk. Uh-oh.
In the immortal words of Kamala, girl! Oh, girl.
Go, girl.
I think
and they're going out the door.
I think Simone Sanders is being a little tough on Kamala because
Why?
From the time she was a little girl, she's just wanted one thing.
She wanted, well, do you want to say it or can I say it?
No.
Freedom.
Freedom. That's all. That's all she wants. It's not so much to ask, is it? God bless you, Simone. Ken Blackwell is a former mayor of Cincinnati. He also served as the Deputy Undersecretary of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. He joins us now. Ken, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you both. Hope you're doing well.
We are. Hope you are as well. The entrance of Kamala, you're a keen observer of the political scene, have been for a long time. I mean, according to the numbers, the polling, it really hasn't changed the race that much. The coalition, Kamala may be a little bit stronger in some areas and weaker in other areas than Biden, but the net of it is it hasn't really changed the race that much, has it?
No, it hasn't. And from a policy standpoint, Biden and Harris are attached at the hip. And they both are on the strings of the administrative state puppet masters. And so anybody that is looking at this from a policy standpoint, there's absolutely no difference between Harris and Biden. And so we have plenty of target-rich policies to attack her on, and I think that's where we should concentrate. That I just did a piece on the so-called Inflation Reduction Act because the left is pretty good at what I call projections. They basically, and green lighting, they basically give something a fancy title, but the consequences of the policy that they're talking about has absolutely the opposite effect. And so that's what we have to push through. We have to show folks that there's no change in the destructive policies between Biden and Harris. And the fact of the matter is that Biden is still going to be the president, and they're still going to be executing the same destructive policy, whether it is total collapsing of our border, whether it is the big spending, inflation driving policies of the administration. People will be able to say that the price at the gas pump, the price of groceries, the unsafe atmosphere of our cities can be tied directly to the craziness of the Biden-Harris administration.
What about the incursion Trump was making into Black Americans in terms of their support, particularly Black men? Kamala Harris is identitarian politics every day, all the time. She's doing the work every day because that's how often you have to do the work. But do you think she blunts that at all, or does that aspect of the race not change very much either?
I think she blunts it a little bit. I mean, I don't. Look, the crosstabs of the polling that I've looked at basically showed that 18% of Black males are sour on Harris. That's a good direction for the Trump administration. The challenge for the Trump administration is converting those attitudes into somebody actually pressing the button or checking the box for Trump. So that's going to be the challenge of the Trump administration and the Trump campaign. That is making sure that the dissatisfaction is converted into a vote. The other thing is, and I have buddies who tell me, Ken, yeah, that's the ideal. But if in fact those folks are so sorry that they don't press the button for Harris, that's still a vote for Trump.
What about the impact of your fellow Ohioan JD Vance as his running mate? Do you like that selection?
Yeah, I think it's a good selection, particularly for the battleground states in the Midwest, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, etc. I actually think JD will play well in the battleground state of Arizona, and so look, JD, as my wife came out of her family came out of the mountains of West Virginia, and so I know the sort of grit and toughness and Bible fearing that takes place in those communities, and JD will play well. He's articulate. He has a good narrative. Now, look, he also has a target. My dad used to say, and he was just an old urban guy, but he used to say, dogs don't bark at parked cars. And if you start looking at this, the attack of the left on JD in the last week or so, you can begin to see that they fear that he's going to be effective, whether it's in Illinois, Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Minnesota. You know, he's going to be a value added.
Well, yeah. Speaking of vice president, I mean, Biden dropped out of the race a week and a day ago. It feels like a month. But this week we should know who Kamala chooses as a running mate. Who do you think she's going to pick?
Oh, I think she will go for the good governor of Pennsylvania. I'm not sure that he's that dumb or that ambitious to go for it. But I think that they're working real hard right now because they see the threat in Pennsylvania, and I don't think right now they believe that their vote churning machine in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, can give them the vote spread that they need to win Pennsylvania. So I think that's who she. If I had to bet money, that's who she's going to go after, and hope that will slow the bleeding of her Jewish support because of her total abandonment of not only Israel, but her failure to really attack anti-Semitism.
Ken Blackwell, mayor of Cincinnati. You were also the Secretary of State for the state of Ohio. I wonder what your confidence level is with the administration of elections in the battleground states. How closely you've been watching that? Because a lot of people are probably less concerned about Kamala than they are about, say, 10, 14, whatever the number is, million illegals, and some percentage of those individuals somehow being able to cast a vote in certain jurisdictions and other manipulations of the administration of elections. What's your confidence level that this election, whichever way it goes, will be one that people can have faith in the result?
Well, it's uneven. Let me tell you why that is. Because the genius of our system is that it is a system that is decentralized. And so you have 50 states administering elections and in slightly or in some cases dramatically different ways. And that also spills over to preparedness. I believe that what we have to do is to continue to work to make sure that across the 3,100 counties in America at the precinct level, that we in fact have Republicans Republican eyes engaged in monitoring and voices calling for transparency in the system. Look, those who would do evil love the darkness, and so our engagement must be, whether we have flashlights or pin lights or floodlights, we in fact must bring transparency to this process. Because my saying is that if you're not in the room, you're not in the game. So that means that we have to be engaged. And I think when we're engaged, we in fact can push back against a lot of the foolishness. The fact of the matter is that a lot of things happened, a lot of irregularities got unattended to in 2020 because of COVID and because of the fact that people were shy about covering at the precinct level. Hey guys, let me just tell you this. This is one of the things that I've worked on over the couple of decades. The median age of poll workers, in this country, particularly on the Republican side, is 67 years old. Now I'm 70. I'm 76, soon to be 77, and so this is not a slam on seniors, but it is basically telling what those demographics should tell Republicans is that they have to do a lot of work in terms of engaging younger people. That's why I work very closely with Turning Point USA to make sure that we're getting that infusion of youth into the process, and you have inquisitive eyes, you have the physical stamina to push through an election day operation to make sure that we're in the room, in the game, and we're bringing light to the dark corners of some of these electoral election administration practices and policies.
He is Ken Blackwell. He's former mayor of Cincinnati, former Ohio Secretary of State. He's a board member of Democracy Defense Project, he was sort of referencing, which is an organization led by a bipartisan group of former elected officials in Ohio and other battleground states who work to defend the transparency, safety, security, and validity of the nation's electoral system. Ken Blackwell, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate your insights.
Always good to be with you all. Have a blessed day.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
The star-studded lineup at this year's Illinois State Fair includes country music's finest, starting with superstar Keith Urban on Friday night, August 9th. Americana artist and award-winning songwriter Jason Isbell and the 400 unit with Ashley McBride on Sunday, August 11th. Multi-platinum singer Jordan Davis on Tuesday, August 13th. And the most awarded performer in the Academy of Country Music's history, Miranda Lambert, on Saturday, August 17th. Tickets on sale now 24/7 at Ticketmaster.com or on the Ticketmaster app or at the Grandstand ticket office during regular business hours. Don't forget to pick up your pre-show party tickets for only $30. Party before the show and be the first ones into the Grandstand. Celebrate country's best on the Illinois Lottery Grandstand stage at this year's Illinois State Fair, August 8th through the 18th.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, where the white women at? They're with Kamala, 7:07.
Yeah, Karen's for Kamala, right? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A baby and a man shot in an apparent targeted shooting in the Little Village neighborhood. A body discovered in Lake Michigan days after a boat crash. Cubs pull away from the Royals. Cubs acquire Paredes from the Rays for Christopher Morel. And the Sox lose to Seattle. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
It's time to reform the Supreme Court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Biden wants, and he plans to detail it in Texas today.
Calling out sweeping changes to the nation's highest court, including term limits and a code of conduct. As you mentioned, he's going to unveil these changes when he goes to Austin, Texas this afternoon. Now, the president is calling for 18 years for a term limit, also wants to see a constitutional amendment to limit immunity for presidents once they leave office.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House. The president writing in a Washington Post op-ed this morning, no one is above the law. Democrats have been critical of a more right-leaning court, especially after the ruling that undid women's federal abortion rights, allowing states to decide on the issue. And today, Iowa is the latest red state with new abortion restrictions banning the procedure 6 weeks into a pregnancy. Senator JD Vance, the Trump running mate, is pushing back on Democratic criticism of a comment years ago claiming the administration was led by childless cat ladies, telling Fox,
if you look at what the left has done, they have radically taken this out of context and, in fact, aggressively lied about what I've said.
Democrats keep calling Vance weird. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer tells CBS Face the Nation.
Vance seems to be more erratic and more extreme than President Trump. And I'll bet President Trump is sitting there scratching his head and wondering, why did I pick this guy? The choice may be one of the best things he ever did for Democrats.
Vice President Harris will soon choose a running mate. Since becoming presumptive Democratic nominee a week ago, Harris has raised more than $200 million. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro celebrating what he claims is a re-election to a third term, but his opponents crying foul, claiming to have gotten 70% of the vote. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Tokyo says the U.S. has serious concerns the will of the people was not reflected.
It's critical that every vote be counted fairly and transparently, that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and independent observers without delay.
America's listening to Fox News.
Rain showers on the way, 73 degrees at 7:02. On AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Police have identified a body that was pulled from Lake Michigan near 31st Street yesterday. It was hours after the Cook County Coroner's Office then ID'd that 40-year-old as Lorenzo Tobin from Carroll Stream. Police have confirmed that Tobin was the man who went missing after an overcrowded yacht that capsized near 31st Street Beach on Friday. One person is dead after falling at Starved Rock State Park Saturday afternoon. The incident reported around 4:30 at Illinois Canyon. The 38-year-old Oswego man fell about 55 feet after climbing over restricted barricades. 3 are dead, nearly 24 wounded after shootings in Chicago this weekend. One has the Little Village community on edge. And Sunday night, they demanded extra resources from the city of Chicago after a baby boy was among two critically hurt in a shooting on Saturday. Baltazar Enriquez is with the Little Village Community Council.
This is a 3-month-old baby. If you stay quiet, you're just as guilty as the guy that pulled the trigger.
Chicago police say there is no one in custody this morning, and a trustee with the village of Dalton has officially launched his mayoral campaign in hopes of unseating controversial incumbent Tiffany Henyard, Jason House on Sunday.
We're going to have a vision that operates with transparency, openness. Open the doors to the Village Hall of Dalton. Taxpayers right now can't even walk in their own building.
An event to kick off the campaign was held Sunday afternoon, attended by village staff, business owners, and firefighters who've been without a contract for 5 years. Cubs score 3 in the top of the ninth in a 7-3 win over Kansas City. Cubs and Rays make a notable move ahead of the trade deadline. Cubs acquiring third baseman Isaac Paredes from Tampa Bay in exchange for third baseman Christopher Morel. White Sox lost to the Mariners 6-3. Bears continue preseason work. They're getting set to play Houston in the Hall of Fame game on Thursday. The news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Properties, Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago with over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home. 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Executive Green Carpet Cleaning, and by Valdecast Windows and Doors. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, this is Pastor Calvin from Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights. It is time to get your children and grandchildren out of the godless government schools. How can we subject our loved ones to forced, ungodly psychological examinations and perverse sexual teachings? You would not send your child to a school that teaches 2 + 2 is 5. What is being taught today is far worse and damaging to minds and hearts. We can help through our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program. For over 55 years, we have operated a Christian school now in Arlington Heights, and we have served hundreds of thousands of families across our nation and foreign countries through our homeschool program, Christian Liberty Homeschools. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or to schedule a tour of our excellent 12-acre facility. Take action today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com, ChristianLiberty.com.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the Edens outbound, you've got a car ablaze, a right lane blocked, outbound between Dempster and Church. The Kennedy right now at 35, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange and climbing. Tri-State jams up northbound right at Roosevelt Road and delays on the Jane Addams. You've got a slow ramp to southbound 53, so eastbounders on the Jane Addams I-90 are all backed up. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, Your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Variable cloudiness, thunderstorm, humid day. High today 80. Partly cloudy, humid. A thunderstorm in the area tonight, low 69. Morning thunderstorm around tomorrow morning. Then partly sunny, warm and humid. The high tomorrow at 90. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Rain across the area, especially in the western suburbs, Aurora, Joliet, DuPage Airport. 73 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Where the white women at in my best Cleveland Little?
I love when you do that. I could listen to you do that all day long.
Sure.
So do it again, please.
They're with Mamala.
Mamala.
That's where they are.
We gotta pull
at
that
least
one.
the awfuls are. The awful versions of the honky females. Before we get to that, though, this piece from 5 years ago, from a local columnist for an editorial board member for a local paper in California, The Union, Terry McAteer, because this may help explain the affinity that awfuls have for Mamala. My dad, Eugene McAteer, was a San Francisco supervisor and state senator until his untimely death at the age of 51. I pursued the educational political route, was elected Nevada County Superintendent of Schools for 6 four-year terms. Our son Gregory loves politics. I thought it might also be his passion. So a few years ago, I assisted him in securing a non-paid internship with DiFi in her San Francisco office. DiFi's office was unable to have Gregory start in June, but then told him that Attorney General Kamala Harris was looking for summer interns.
Oh.
Now, this guy comes from the left. He writes, while I have nothing against now Senator Harris, remember this is 2019, as she is a good orator and has done some fine things while holding elective office. Neither of the things are true, but this is his position. Fine. It goes back to something we were just talking about last hour, but this provides some real color to it. I believe, however, how she treats her staff is as important as an individual's legislative accomplishments.
Ooh, now we're getting somewhere.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
tell. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're getting somewhere. Son Gregory had an eye-opening experience in Kamala Harris' office none of us expected. For his sake, the month he had to stay could not pass quickly enough. He was delighted to work in DiFi's office for the rest of the summer after a month with Mamala. 4 short episodes I would like to share of his month-long internship for Kamala Harris. She vocally throws around F-bombs and other profanity constantly in berating of staff and others.
Oh.
The staff is in complete fear of her, and she uses profanity throughout the day. As Attorney General, Senator Harris instructed her staff to stand every morning as she entered the office and say, "Good morning, General." And they could keep a straight face? Impressive.
No wonder she had such a high turnover rate. I
Never-
wouldn't subject myself to that, but go on. I want to hear more.
Never once during the month-long line up. Good morning, General.
Good
Did
morning.
I get a harumph from you? Harumph, harumph.
Dan,
never-
you make us do that when you come to the newsroom.
Well, that's
I
what I
mean,
say. The similarity is striking. We're not
like,
done.
Good morning, Mr. Proft.
Right. Did I get a good? No, I. Well,
I don't think that was sincere enough.
We'll
Amy.
get to it. Never once during the month-long internship did Harris introduce herself to our son. He was only in an office with 20 paid employees. Staff was too intimidated by her to introduce him. To introduce your intern. The only acknowledgement was a form letter of thanks signed by Harris given to him on this last day of service. He's an intern. He never met her. And no one would introduce him because they were afraid. I don't know if the general will like this. And then this is the best one. I love this one.
All right, I'm ready.
Son Gregory, the intern, was also given instructions to never address Harris nor look her in the eye, as that privilege was only allowed to senior staff members. And, of course, that's what I demand here, too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you.
You're senior staff. You
Okay.
can. Yeah.
It took me a long time to get here.
But if any of you Gregorys around this office are roaming about, be warned.
I mean, when we had Pete Buttigieg as our intern at Channel 5, I mean, we introduced him. Everybody
To
spent time.
Chasen?
No, Pete.
No, I mean, you introduced him to his husband?
No,
Oh.
we just, nobody.
To his swing? The swing in the back, put up the swing in the backyard? No.
I'm just saying. He met Warner and Allison, would sit down and talk to us, and we would never treat an intern
You could,
like that.
you were not, you could, he couldn't look Allison Rosati in the eye, could he?
What do you, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he was,
she didn't have that protocol.
She didn't, of course not. But Nicolas Cage came to our newsroom to shoot The Weatherman, and they had a group come in first, and it was on the weekends. It was Saturday, so it was me and two other people. Literally, that was it in the newsroom. And this lady came out. She's like, "Now, by no means do you look him in the eye." And I'm looking at her. I'm gathering myself. I don't care about him, and I'm leaving. You don't come into my house and tell me who I can and cannot address.
Well,
but anyway, that says a lot about her.
This was Kamala's house. I love that. This is actually something that should be as amplified as her open border, defund police policy positions, pro reparations, all of this. Don't look her in the eye. I mean, the fun that you can have with this. And we're going
That
to.
takes a real small elite group of people that feel that profoundly about themselves that they don't want, underlings to look them in the eye. Who the hell does she think she is?
That's somebody with autocratic tendencies.
Yeah.
I would say. Joe at East Dundee. Hey, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember an interview with Kamala's father, her Jamaican father, that he basically scolded his daughter, saying that this is not the way I brought you up. Apparently she had a conservative father. And I guess this was after an interview where she sat down with two dudes, talking about pot,
Charlemagne the God.
Oh, yeah, Charlemagne the God, where she cackled about smoking dope. Yeah, thanks for the call.
Because I
Joe.
asked her, have you smoked pot?
See, but I mean, so that gives you a sense of why this coven of awfuls is supporting Kamala Harris, because they are just as angry, disingenuous, ignorant, and nasty as she is. Let's hear from them.
Oh, which ones? We'll start with the woman that I think this is a reason why Dan Proft is single.
This is a message for every single person who looks like me, specifically white women. It's time. This is no longer about politics, and you get to right your wrongs of 2016 when you didn't put a woman in the White House who was overly qualified. Now's your chance. You did not stand behind black women, people of color, immigrant families, differently abled people, none of them. You said, I matter more than you in 2016. Not anymore. You have the chance to again put an overly qualified person in a seat that they absolutely deserve because they are willing to go to bat for you and everyone around you. This is no longer about red versus blue. This is our lives that we are playing with. And the piece that you have control over is who you vote for in November. You need to find a spine to stand up against the white men in your life who are telling you who should be your president. This is not the last thing that I will say on this topic. Obviously, it's just the first,
that is obvious.
and this is the earliest that I could get online to be able to post this TikTok. But I am so ready because I know for a fact that I would rather live in a season of Veep than a season of.
Hey, Karen, you may want to get to the kitchen. I think your husband is tracing his veins. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA. Turnkey.pro text line.
That was Dr. Jebra.
Oh, doctor.
Fauci. Yes,
Oh,
she's a doctor.
Of course.
Okay, but
Yeah.
she wasn't alone. There's other white women for Harris.
Well, this was from the Zoom call.
Yeah,
the big Zoom call.
The big Zoom call. The largest Zoom call ever, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, or they wanted to get into there. It's about white women and use your privilege, Dan, to make positive change.
Ariel Fodor, affectionately known as Mrs. Frazzle, to her combined audience of over 1.5 million followers, is here to help gentle parent us through this election.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am so honored to speak today. I am like shaking to just be among such incredible company. We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season. This is a really important time, and we all need to use our voices and influence for the greater good, no matter who you are. You are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online and navigating the toxicity that comes with it. And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on. So do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized, and use the privilege you have in order to push for systemic change. As white people, we have a lot to learn.
I'll vote for Kamala. Just make it stop.
So
Make them stop.
check your blind spots. You are responsible for your algorithm, believe it or not.
I would rather have my fingernails pulled out than listen to 15 more seconds of that. Oh, God, that is... I thought I was going to faint, actually.
No, actually...
I started to lose consciousness. I really did. Yeah, so that's the base. That's the base Kamala vote, the coven for Kamala.
Karens for Kamala.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be enough.
Well, they also went on to say, a former teacher who's an influencer now also said, never correct a black woman. Don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
It says, white women for Kamala, we have suggestions to make that you need to follow. Stay with me, partner.
They just repeat themselves. They're just going to say they're in community where they repeat themselves, and then they're going to go, persecute the white men in their life too.
Why do we have to make this about white men? Well, I guess.
Well, because of the white patriarchy.
But there's something about the way they talk that I find extremely annoying.
Yeah, there's a lot of aspects of that. Mark in the Western Burbs.
Just a quick comment today, Dan and Amy. These are from the same women that can't define what a woman is. Pretty amazing.
Indeed. Thank you.
Well, the woman that you just heard, her husband works for Amazon, and before that, he worked for Microsoft.
And
it's provided her with a very nice life.
And he goes to work in a dress, I'm guessing. Jim in Crown Point.
I'm a white male that transitioned into a female, and I think what they're doing is great. And I changed my voice pattern the minute I transitioned, and I just think they're wonderful. I'm emotional. I'm choked up. I got to go.
All right. Not the best awful impersonation I've ever heard.
But I like the effort.
Yeah, the effort.
Good, yeah.
Patrick in Virginia.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
One of the things I think everybody's forgetting about in this upcoming DNC convention are the superdelegates. They won't be voting during the first round, but they will vote during the second round. And their combined voting power outweighs the voting power of the regular delegates. So they could vote for Harris as delegates. When the superdelegates come in and they vote for someone like, say, Hillary Clinton's going. That's all there is to it.
Okay. Well, that's a fun fantasy political theory. I don't see a Hillary Clinton backdoor coup after her endorsement and her op-ed in the New York Times in support of Kamala, and it's like, oh well, she's setting that up, but then the people have spoken, and she rides in on her white. It's not going to go down that way. I mean, even the people who thought Biden's not going to make election day, that's just like an open-ended prediction. You didn't predict that he was going to have this catastrophic debate performance where he would freeze up, and then the party would demand his exit, and so on and so forth. And nobody predicted that with that level of specificity. So just saying he's feeble, I don't think he's going to make it, it's fine. It's a prediction. It came true. But, you know, just the political fantasies and the conspiracy theories and these opportunities that technically exist but really belie all of the available evidence and considered logic. I mean, you know, sometimes things are what they are. John and Piatone.
Hi there. Hey, don't think that a lot of the Chicago politics don't stretch out into the south suburbs. I've been an election judge for 35 years, and I will tell you, one of the worst Democratic strongholds is Beecher, Illinois. I actually was badgered by our inspector judge that was floating around, and I had it removed by the county, and that was the last time I was there. And then I got moved over to the east side of Monee, which is even worse. So now I'm back in the Frankfurt area, and everything is fine. It's, half and half, no big deal. But
nice.
All of that stuff, don't think that these south suburbs are not as bad as the city of Chicago.
Of course. I mean, all the color counties are gone.
Because people from the city moved out to the burbs.
Yeah,
and took their politics with them.
Yeah, and people from the burbs flipped.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's more than just people moving from the city. Rick in Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. These white, radical, irrational suburban women proved one thing to me. And I always thought that level of stupidity was lethal, that when you got that dumb, your body would automatically shut down. But I was wrong. They just keep on keeping on like zombies. Keep on keeping on.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. Rick, now Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Good morning. I'm kind of conflicted about Kamala running because I'd love to see more of Maya Rudolph doing an impersonation of her. The skit where she said she's a fun aunt.
The font.
Oh, the font. Oh, that's right. We got to get that back.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, can you work on that? That was a fun one.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll be there in the fall, I'm sure, portraying Kamala Harris.
That's a pretty good handle on her.
But we got. Can I play Mamala? Don't forget about Drew Barrymore.
Keep thinking in my head that we all need a mom. I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now.
Yeah.
But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
I can't.
And now she leans in. Now she's going to try and make out with her.
Yeah. No,
And as a woman who respects...
I couldn't hold it. I tried.
Dan.
But the Drew Barrymore. Hold on.
Okay, stop. I'm not listening. Are you done yet?
Oh, gosh.
Deal with puking teenagers all weekend, and now this?
I'm sorry, but I mean, you did the. I mean, I endured the other two clips of the awfuls, but I mean, come on. My constitution is only so strong.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
I don't need to tell you how important a good night's sleep is, but like most people, sometimes you can't fall asleep or you wake up during the night. That's why I want to tell you about Z-Factor. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free way to help you fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and sleep better. Z-Factor is from the makers of Relief Factor. Now, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you ease into sleep faster and sleep through the night. Just ask Maureen G. She said, quote, this product broke a 15-year nightly cycle of lying in bed for hours before falling asleep, unquote. Or Bernard K., who said, it cut down significantly the amount of times I wake up. Rediscover the joy of a great night's sleep, just like Barbara, who called it the best sleep I ever had. Try Z Factor from Relief Factor and save 46% on your first order. Just go to ReliefFactor.com to order, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for Z Factor.
Wow, she loves it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about a woman that I met at the pool. Arthritis robbed her of so much, but there's effective ways to deal with that pain without drugs or surgery. She went to QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain like my new friend I met at the pool, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Call them today for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments are available. 312-809-5955. Write it down, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Are you ready to lose weight but not sure where to start? Let me tell you why I chose a PhD weight loss and nutrition. First, Dr. Ashley Lucas has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. The program is science-based. The PhD program starts with nutrition, but is so much more. They know that 90% of permanent change comes from the mind, and they work on eliminating the reason you gained this weight in the first place. There are no shortcuts, no pills, no scary injections, just solid science-based nutrition and behavior change. And finally, I lost 42 pounds, and I haven't gained a pound back. PhD has a lifelong maintenance plan. If you are ready to lose weight for the last time, call 864-644-1900 to get started. Or online at myphdweightloss.com. Do what I did, what hundreds of my listeners have done. Call today, 864-644-1900.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I hope you haven't forgotten about big tech's potential to impact the November 5th election, and they're working overtime. Google is doing its best to memory hole the failed Trump assassination attempt at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Rain showers crossing the area, some thunderstorms as well at 7:30 on AM 560. The Answer. And Vice President Harris is heading to Houston this week for the funeral of Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. The Democrat governor of Maryland, though, is critical of members of his party who demanded President Biden end his re-election campaign in favor of Harris. Maryland Governor Wes Moore.
I'm a loyalty person, and I believe that you can have proper conversations and tell people the truth and be able to tell them what you're hearing without also then turning around and publicly then trying to embarrass them.
Several top Democrats are among those rumored to be on a short list, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on ABC's This Week.
I pledged to her that no matter what the outcome of this process, that I'd be working hard for her and making sure that she wins in November. It's too important. We've got too much at stake.
However, Pritzker is not one of the top names. Those belong to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. President Biden today will propose term limits for Supreme Court justices. He'll outline his so-called reform proposals in Austin, Texas this afternoon. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez both are declaring victory after presidential elections in Venezuela. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been eyeballing the results from Tokyo, Japan.
It's critical that every vote be counted fairly and transparently, that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and independent observers without delay, and that the electoral authorities publish the detailed tabulation of votes.
A Northern California wildfire, now the largest active blaze in the U.S. The Park Fire has burned through about 687,000 acres north of Sacramento. Chicago police have an ID on the body that was pulled from Lake Michigan near 31st Street yesterday. CPD Marine Unit pulled the man's body from the lake in the 3100 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Later, the coroner's office identified that man as 40-year-old Lorenzo Tobin of Carroll Stream. One person is dead after falling at Starved Rock State Park Saturday afternoon. The Illinois DNR said the incident happened inside Illinois Canyon. The 38-year-old Oswego man fell about 55 feet after climbing over a restricted barricade. Illinois State Police are investigating a semi-crash on the outbound Stevenson near Summit on Sunday morning. It happened yesterday near the First Avenue exit. Cubs score 3 in the top of the ninth in a 7-3 win over Kansas City. The Northsiders acquire a new third baseman, a move ahead of the MLB trade deadline. Itzhak Paredes comes from Tampa Bay in exchange for Christopher Morel. White Sox have their second 14-game losing streak of the season. Southsiders fell to the Mariners 6-3 on Sunday. The news, a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30, right here on AM 560. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator JD Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Summer is here, which is the ideal time to let the sunshine in and brighten up the house. Make those rooms that may appear small, dark, or dingy look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors. Our highly skilled installers can enlarge openings if your space allows. For decades, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Marvin replacement windows and doors can also bring your backyard right into your living space. Ask us about connecting the inside to the outside. Since 1969, our professional services, along with the best products and installation, are why we are proud of our great online reviews. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
73 degrees, 736. Let's check the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time due to an earlier car fire. The outbound Edens jams up Peterson to Church. Inbound Kennedy, 52, O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Inbound Stevenson, accident, car into the wall. It's between I-355, the Veterans Toll Road, and Lamont Road this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Variable clouds, thunderstorms crossing the area, humid High near 80, partly cloudy and humid with a thunderstorm low 69. Thunderstorm in spots tomorrow. Otherwise, warmer with clouds and sun and a high near 90. 74 at O'Hare, clouds and 74 at Midway. Light rain in Aurora, drizzle in Joliet, and light rain at DuPage Airport. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
And I inhaled. I did inhale.
On AM 560.
I think that it gives a lot of people joy, and we need more joy.
More joy in this world.
Is that a scene from Jurassic Park?
I want to call this Kamala Harris campaign staff meeting to order now. This is, that's what I felt like doing, listening to these very women. That was remember the rage rituals?
Oh, that's right.
Mia Magic and the white leftist women, their rage rituals where they pay to go to a forest with Mia Magic, their thought leader, and scream and use branches to pound the ground and get all of their rage, mostly, I suppose, at honky men out. This is who you're talking about. Just not to pile on here or to submit to our listeners to more excruciating commentary from some of the dumbest, nastiest people on the planet, these white leftist women. But remember this, too? Remember this development? The race to dinner, where you pay a person of color $5,000 to tell you you're racist?
White women are socialized to be nice. And part of that niceness means you don't come to a beautifully prepared dinner table and then leave because something upsets you. So we know they'll stay. So that's why we use the dinner. How many of you at this table think that you're racist?
Welcome to Race to Dinner.
How many of you at this table, you nice white people, would actually happily trade places with a black person in this society?
Disclaimer, the following contains blunt and honest conversations about racism.
We have the hostess prepare a crying room, so when your white lady feelings get hurt, you can go in the room and have at it.
Disclaimer, no white women were harmed in the making of this report.
In 30 seconds, we establish, that you all are racist, and that you know the hierarchy. Black at the bottom, white at the top, and the rest of us somewhere in between.
The goal is to have radically honest conversations. I'm old enough to have demonstrated and marched in the 60s, okay? And what I know is as a society, we don't have honest conversations about race.
During Cyber Rao's unsuccessful run for Congress in 2018, she found her schedule overflowing with coffee dates and campaign events.
At every event, line of white ladies wrapped around the door waiting to talk to me, to tell me, not all white women. My platform was anti-racism. Not me, you've got me wrong.
Denver native Regina Jackson worked on Cyra's campaign and thought to consolidate these one-on-one anti-racism discussions into a dinner.
So we did it. We just did one of these dinners, and it was full white women, the Broadway musical. Crying, arms folded, eyes rolled, pacing around the dinner table, and we posted about it on Facebook. And it went viral.
I should have educated them.
The dinners, which continue to grow in popularity, have taken place from Denver to Chicago to Toronto. A white woman chooses to host at her home for a group of 7 friends. The price of the 2-hour dinner, $5,000.
You know why people are worked up about this? Because white people think that them doing this work is charity and we should be paying them. So even a penny would be too much.
Thank you.
Race to Dinner's message can now be consumed through a New York Times bestseller and a documentary.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Want me to sign your book?
All geared for white women who acknowledge their unchecked biases and are looking to purge the Karen inside of them.
I mean, really, this is specifically to men out there. I mean, how do you, as a man, I really don't know. How do you, as a man, whatever you don't like about Trump or about the Republican Party generally, how do you align yourself with these screaming banshees pounding tree limbs in a forest and paying $5,000 to be told they're racist by a couple of hustlers? And all of the other utter patronizing nonsense, idiocy. I mean, do you have any self-respect whatsoever?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 646. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 312-642-5600. You could text us as well on our new up and running text line.
It's just astounding. But there's...
I forget about that. You took me back to a very bad place.
Yeah.
Knowing that this is happening. I mean, they're wasting
rage rituals, race to dinner. I mean, all of these basically effete men who marry these man-hating, entitled brats who are overeducated and under-enlightened and just roll over them. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Please do.
As if the examples are just countless, but this is a fun one. Some old Marxist broad was from Portland, was on a flight with her husband.
Oh, no.
And
Portland, Oregon, right? Not Portland, Maine.
Yes. And so, some Antifa sympathizer. And there's a younger guy that was sitting on the window seat next to them who happened to be a Trump supporter, and somehow she got wind of this. So this is how that went.
She has called me names and insulted me just for sitting down in the seat, saying that I came here to celebrate today.
Is there going to be a problem? I would like for him to change seats with someone. No, I'm going to get somebody. Well, you don't have that right. So I will get somebody.
She wanted to change seats.
You pretend you have the moral high ground, but you put that man's finger on the nuclear button. That man doesn't believe in climate change. Do you believe in gravity? Did you know gravity is just a theory?
Excuse me, ma'am. You grab your belongings when you come. And that's it. We're going to have to take you off this plane right there. Can you grab your belongings and come with me, please?
Grab your belongings, come with me.
I paid for this seat and I'm sitting. He is in my space.
She's called the hostilities.
These are one of two ways right now. I need you to grab your belongings and come with me. Right there. That's where we're playing. Transportation, please.
I'm going home. My mother-in-law, his mother, died. He had to be here. I'm going home. There is no way I'm getting off this.
Oh, there's a way you're getting off this plane.
So the flight attendants, saying the decision's been made. She's talking. Her pathetic husband, she's in the middle seat. Her pathetic husband is in the aisle seat, while this Melissa Etheridge impersonator continues to carry on, alternating between haranguing this young guy who's a Trump supporter for being a Trump supporter, while she's telling the flight attendant who's saying, the decision has been made. Captain says you're off, so we can do this two ways. And it continues. And then finally,
oh my gosh,
her pathetic excuse for a man, her husband, who's a pathetic excuse for a man, chimes in too to try to broker
broker a deal. He's a peace person.
A second chance. Doesn't work.
My husband lost his mother. Have some respect.
What if we trade seats and she quiets down? How would that be? I'm Ali at this point.
Oh my God, this lady's gonna get thrown off the flight.
Please ask him again if we settle down, is that going to be okay?
No.
Wait for it. Police arrive.
Man, we're waiting on you.
I'm American. You're a citizen.
USA!
I mean, I get a whole row to myself.
You earned it. Another Facebook moment.
You're buying drinks.
That's the best. You're buying drinks.
Oh, my God. 312-642-5600 on a text line. Dan and Amy, there isn't enough ED medication in the world.
You have to see this.
I want to see it. Is it?
You just have to, and you heard the pathetic excuse for a man, the cuck.
What did he say? I'm sorry.
He was saying, what if we moved to another seat and she settled down? What if she was quiet? Would that be okay? Could you ask the captain again and like, it's done, buddy?
Well, why didn't he step up and be a man and just say, honey, this is not the time and the place. My mom just died. We need to get home. Please stop it. What's wrong with doing that?
Do you think?
I mean, I don't find that offensive if my husband told me to do that. It's like,
well, somebody's got to. Do you think that? Do you think that guy? I mean, I
can't wait.
You have to see
picture.
him.
All right,
we
tweet this out.
There is a look of vacancy in his eyes. He's
been brainwashed.
No. He hasn't been. He's passed on. he just exists there, but he's not. There's whatever made him human many years ago before he married that horrific person. That's all been destroyed. What you saw there was a husk. He's gone, and that's many of the male impersonators meandering about these Tony suburbs in Chicagoland, is it not? That's who you want to ally yourself with. Just one more time. Anybody? Where are our few trolls who like to call, or maybe somebody new who wants to have this conversation to tell us how enlightened you are by being a male peahat, by putting your junk in your awful's purse to watch over for you. Paul and Carrie are on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, guys. Dan, I know you don't really totally subscribe to this, but I think a lot of these people, you can't throw a blanket on them, of course, but there are your teachers, the entitlement seekers, the pensioners, the illegals, and people will tell you, well, Paul, illegals can't vote. Well, certainly those people that are here in this country that have relatives of illegals that are coming here can support the relatives that are trying to get here and will vote accordingly.
Well,
I'll tell you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to tell you a story. A couple of days before the debate with Trump and Biden, I did a Huey. I was on Gulf Road. I think it was in Schaumburg, and there was a car dealership. They had the big rat out, the big inflatable rat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, geez, okay, go back and see. I'm just curious. So I circled back, rolled down my window. A couple guys came up to my window, and I just said, Trump or Biden? And he goes, oh, Biden. And these are the guys with the plaid shirts on, the big guys, It's so disheartening. It's just so disheartening.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of big beefy peahats out there too, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
that's what I want to hear from the big tough guys. The big tough guys who are throwing in with, yeah.
It's the Gots to Gets Minds group, and all these people. I Gots to Gets Minds, and to hell with the country. That's my personal opinion.
Thanks for the call, Paul. Well, that's part of it, but the other part. So the sentinels of the state, and the rent seekers and the grifters. That's part of it. But there's also the part of it that doesn't preach what they practice. These are the people who live in these wealthy enclaves. They're the corporate types who won't stand up for anything. I mean, these are the people very much like during the French Revolution who funded the Jacobins, who then came for them and brought them to the guillotine. So there's a few different cohorts within this coalition, and they're equally detestable, but for different reasons. Scott in Woodstock. Hey, Scott.
Hello?
Yep, go ahead, Scott. You're on.
Dan, Amy, when you were talking about the gentleman on the airplane who was a husk of his former self, it reminded me of an old saying I heard a while ago: married men die at 40, but they're not buried until they're 85.
Thanks for the call, Scott. I got a golf joke.
Okay, I'm watching this on here. This woman is insufferable.
No, forget the woman. The
and
women.
Her husband. Oh my!
He is sitting in a seat.
Shell of a
before
man.
he talks, I thought it was a corpse sitting next to her. I really did.
But he's clutching it, and he was reading a book and then clutching his.
Well, he
his
knows.
chest, like,
He knows
oh,
if he
no.
gives her any sass, he goes back in the cage when they get home.
I mean, literally, he looks. That's not a man.
So, guys playing
He's
golf.
closing his eyes too. Okay, sorry.
Guys playing golf. He hits behind a tree. Says to the caddy, "Give me a, wedge. I just got to punch out." I said, "No, you can take it right through this V in the. She's got a V in the tree right there. You can shoot it right through that." Nah, I should probably just chip out. No, just the V right there, the V. So he's playing with his wife. He follows the caddy's advice. He tries to shoot the ball through this V in the tree, hits the tree, ricochets back, kills his wife.
This is supposed to be a joke. This is supposed to be funny? Okay, what happened?
Playing the same course, same hole, a week later. Hits it behind the same tree. Wouldn't you know? Says to the caddy, "Give me a wedge. I'm just going to punch out." Says, no, look, he's that V in the tree. You just can hit it right to the V in the tree. Said, no, I tried that. I just want to punch out. Said, I'm telling you, you've got this shot. Hit it through that V in the tree. He said, look, the last time I tried to do that, I took a double. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, Dan and Amy, this video is classic. The guy never looks at the woman while he's asking the security agent.
You know why, Tom? You know why, Tom?
Quiet it down.
You know why, Tom? Wait, Tom. Tom.
As if she's going to shut up anyway. And then what does she do? She says, my mother-in-law died. And she has to correct herself and say that his mother died. That video's classic. Absolutely classic.
Thanks for the call, Tom. No, he never looks at her.
Never looks at her.
Because she has the same rules in the household that Kamala Harris has in her office. You are not to look directly in her eyes.
No.
You greet her.
Dare.
You say, "Good morning, General." You avert your eyes and, do your business.
My favorite part is when the police come and they get her off the plane and people cheer and start chanting USA.
Neil in LaGrange.
Insufferable.
The guy's just weak. You know what I mean?
That doesn't begin to describe it.
I know, but the bigger picture is I heard this once, and this what I'm about to say is just it fits. A Trump supporter signs the check on the front, and a Harris supporter signs the check on the back.
Well, thanks for. I mean, that's true to some extent. I mean, the entrepreneurial class is normally center right. Yeah, I agree. But I mean, the Republican Party has become. I mean, this just in has become the party of the working man, of the lower middle income family, which is good because that's the majority of the country. So it's a lot of people who do sign the check on the back that are supporting Trump, and that's fine. Not every, this is like one of these fallacies the Republican Party clung to for too long, which is the idea that everybody wants to be a business owner, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Some people don't. Some people don't want to work 60 or 80 hours. They don't want to build a business. They want to work 40 hours and have time for their family and enjoy life and
maybe go on a vacation every once in a while. Maybe. I mean,
and that's fine too. Right, that's fine too. You don't have, not everybody has to be, a tech entrepreneur or try to make partner in the law firm and stuff. Some people aren't interested in that rat race, and that's okay. And you should still be able to have a family and get by in this country, which is sort of the message that JD Vance has been delivering, and I think it's a good one.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Brandon Tatum weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by Charlie Kirk at 7. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, I think we've done enough on the angry white leftist females. So at 8:08, we will get to Google's attempt to memory hole the failed Trump assassination attempt. That's 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
A man and a young baby, 3 months old, shot in an apparently targeted shooting in the Little Village neighborhood. A Dalton trustee challenging Tiffany Henyard for mayor. And WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
He wants to end lifetime terms for Supreme Court justices. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and that's just one of the reforms that the Supreme Court President Biden's calling for.
The president making the case in a Washington Post op-ed calling first for a constitutional amendment that would make clear there is no immunity for crimes a former president commits while in office. He also says justices should be limited to 18-year terms, and presidents would nominate a justice every 2 years. President Biden says Supreme Court justices should also be bound by a code of conduct, calling the current voluntary ethics code weak and self-enforced.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. Vice President Harris, who replaced the president as the presumptive Democratic 2024 nominee, just put out a statement. There's a crisis of confidence in the Supreme Court after ethics scandals and decision after decision overturning long-standing precedent. One of those involves abortion rights, and today a new law takes effect in Iowa,
preventing most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy before many women know they're pregnant. Currently, 14 states have near total bans at all stages of pregnancy, and Iowa makes the fourth state to ban them after 6 weeks.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Officials in the Golan Heights keep going through the rubble of an attack Israel blames on Hezbollah from Lebanon, vowing retaliation.
Overnight, the Israeli cabinet met to discuss operational plans for offensive action against the Iran-backed group Hezbollah. This does come after a rocket attack in the Golan Heights killed 12 Druze children and teens.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. There's controversy over the vote in Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro claims he won a third term, but Fox's Evan Brown reports
Maduro's main opponent, Edmundo Gonzalez, says the victory Maduro is claiming of 55 to 44% is unverifiable and that Maduro's government is refusing to release tallies from 30,000 polling places now that their exit polling showed an opposition victory.
The U.S. is among the countries doubting the Venezuela election results. America's listening to Fox News.
It's 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. There is a shooting investigation underway on the Dan Ryan at Michigan Avenue. Illinois State Police say They responded to reports of a shooting around 5:15. Traffic snarls at that point were unknown and really didn't cause much of any delays, according to IDOT. However, we'll keep our eyes on that developing situation for you. Police have an ID on the body that was pulled from Lake Michigan near 31st Street yesterday. Marine units pulled the man's body from the lake in the 3100 block of South DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Hours later, the Cook County Coroner's Office ID'd him as 40-year-old Lorenzo Tobin of Carroll Stream, a man who went missing after a yacht that was overcrowded capsized near the 31st Street beach. 3 are dead, nearly 24 wounded after shootings in Chicago. One of the weekend shootings has the Little Village community on edge. Sunday night, demanding extra resources from the city of Chicago after a 3-month-old baby boy was among 2 critically hurt in that shooting. Baltazar Enriquez is with the Little Village Community Council.
This is a 3-month-old baby. If you stay quiet, you're just as guilty as the guy that pulled the trigger.
Chicago police say there is no one in custody. Cubs 7-3 winners over Kansas City, and they make a trade, acquiring third baseman Isaac Paredes from Tampa Bay in exchange for third baseman Christopher Morel. White Sox keep losing, this time to the Mariners, 6-3 on Sunday. The news, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. Handling an insurance claim for your home and business is difficult. Crosscom will help you maximize your claim and get what you need. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. 8:04 time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs, and now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
McDonald's shares are down 1% after its disappointing earnings and revenue. McDonald's has been raising prices for the past 2 years to cover higher costs for ingredients and labor, but that resulted in customers dining out less often. System-wide sales were down 1%. Its launch of a $5 combo meal on June 25th turned out to be McDonald's busiest Tuesday of the year. Shares of Lowe's, the hotel, energy, and insurance company, are higher. It's reporting upbeat earnings helped by its insurance and gas pipeline businesses, though Lowe's hotel business softened. And Reuters says Japan's Mitsubishi Motors is expected to join an alliance between Honda and Nissan. The three plan to standardize in-vehicle software. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
AM 560 News Time is 8:05. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media, but says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator JD Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back. But what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Call your foursome to tee up for prizes and great fun. It's the 27th annual Crew Chicago Leader Impact Golf Outing. Join Leader Impact for a fun day on the course at Bloomingdale Golf Club August 5th. Shotgun start 8:30 a.m. with lunch and awards at 1:30. A foursome is $1,000. Includes 4 squares for prizes and 12 mulligans per group. For details, email bob.blesser@gmail.com. Leader Impact, providing extraordinary experiences for business leaders and executives. Weekly meetings integrating the Christian faith.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The Edens all jammed up this morning between Foster and Montrose, 22 in from Lake Cook Road. It's an hour in on the Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Things are slow on the Stevenson inbound between the Veterans. That's I-355 and Lamont Road. Bishop Ford right now closed due to police activity inbound between the I-57 interchange and the Dan Ryan, so a long stretch there. Gives solid traffic back to 130th. Police are investigating reports of an earlier shooting on the expressway. Traffic can get turned around at Halstead to access the inbound Dan Ryan this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here's the latest with Steve Williams.
Today, variable cloudiness could pick up a thunderstorm, a high 80. Partly cloudy, humid thunderstorm in the area tonight, low 69. Morning thunderstorm in parts of the area. Otherwise, clouds and sun, warm and humid. The high tomorrow at 90. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
74 at O'Hare, 74 at Midway. Light rain, 71 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Among the concerns with respect to the November 5th election, don't forget about big tech's influence. Don't forget about the social media platforms and the search engines, most notably Google, and their ability to manipulate information that people see and don't see to try to push people in the direction of Mamala. We had an example that manifested itself over the weekend. You probably saw, many of you did. Try and type in the attempted assassination of Trump on Google and see the returns that you get.
Okay.
The attempted assassination of T. You get Teddy Roosevelt, Harry Truman. Why did the first assassination attempt fail? Famous attempted assassinations. Try TR, Truman assassination attempt. First Truman assassination attempt. Did Truman die in the Truman Show? Now, you type in Ronald Reagan, ASSA, and you get nothing but Ronald Reagan assassination attempt returns. You type in Obama, ASSAS, and you get Obama assassination attempt in 2011, Obama assassination of Osama bin Laden, Obama assassination attempt in 2008, and so on and so forth. It's only when you try to type in Trump where you get through the first few letters, the attempted assassination of TRU, and you don't get any Trump returns. So this is, what?
It's a way to suppress. It's election interference.
Well,
it's a way to suppress information. So users, they're not seeing the recent shooting against them as a drop-down option when you type it in the Google's search bar.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so this is the algorithmic manipulation that many people have talked about. We've been talking about for the better part of 8 years. Remember Robert Epstein, the Harvard-trained psychologist who has done some real study on this, and he puts, he's quantified it within a range of how many votes Google's manipulation of search engine algorithms impacted by how many votes they moved in the 2016 election. He predicted they could move as many as 10 million votes. I think for Hillary Clinton it was 2 to 6 million. He predicted they could move as many as 10 million votes in 2020, and so forth. So I mean, again, these are difficult predictions to quantify and then also to assess after the fact, but they wouldn't be manipulating the search engine results if they didn't think that manipulation would be impactful and helpful to their desired candidates. Now, would they? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I mean, it's just a version of muting the Hunter Biden laptop
Right,
story.
that's what I was thinking. It's very reminiscent of that. And Google, when asked by Newsweek, what's going on, they said, quote, "We're working on improvements," end quote.
Right. It's just like the Google AI returns that, every person is a person of color. Every person, throughout history and for time immemorial going forward is a person of color because they have a particular identitarian perspective. Don't forget, remember the Google postmortem in 2016 when Trump won and they were all so shocked, and Sergey and Larry, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, and Sundar Pichai, the CEO, everybody's up there on stage, and it was a big sort of therapy session, and employees are crying, and they're emotional about Trump's victory. And so...
so gross.
And the power that they have... actually, a friend of mine, before we even get to that, who's the editor of Touchdown Magazine, he had a good idea.
What?
At the next Trump rally, he should have everyone type in on Google this search and sort of hold up the drop-down list in terms of the suggested returns just to put more focus and emphasis on it, because you have to keep pressure on these people too. Like you say, Newsweek asks about it, but you have to keep pressure on the big tech companies to know that the people are watching the big tech companies.
But why?
And reporting about instances like this.
Right, but why? Why are they doing it? Why is it Keith Olbermann still denying that there was an assassination attempt? President Obama's photographer tweeting out, Trump was not assassinated, or an attempt was not made on his life. Things like that. Like, why is the left doing that? Because it shows Trump in a more human light. It gives sympathy to Trump. They're afraid undecided. I mean, there's always a reason behind everything that they do.
Well, of course. I mean, when you mean, why do you think they're doing it? You just said it. You think they want that fist pumping picture, fight, fight, fight? You think they want people seeing that, people chanting USA, and the response that Trump had, the bloodied face, he gets up and he still exerts his, exhorts his loyalists to stand and fight for this country, essentially? Yeah, I mean, you think that helps Trump? I'd say it helps him. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg tweeted that was badass.
He said it.
Yeah,
we played it. Yeah, it was badass if he got up.
See if you follow the logic to its conclusion. Of course they find it helpful.
Yeah, they've tried everything they can to take him down. And then think about it. He's a convicted felon with that sham trial, waiting sentencing, and gets shot. I mean, they've come at him at every angle. They've tried to do everything they can to him, and nothing's working. So now they're denying what everybody saw pretty much live on TV.
Well, when you have control of the information flow. Mm-hmm. And it's also something else, too. It's the whole thing, the whole Google thing is reminiscent of something else a friend reminded me. There's a story in Plato's Republic about the ring of Aegis. When a ring was given to a shepherd named Aegis, he could become invisible and anonymous. Through his invisibility, he seduces a queen, kills her king, takes over the kingdom. The argument that's made by Plato and built upon by earlier philosophers, built on from the moral of the story developed by earlier philosophers. The argument is that the invisibility and anonymity is the only barrier between a just and an unjust person. Invisibility and anonymity. And we would all be unjust if we had a cloak of anonymity, because injustice is far more profitable. Gets what you want. We are only just because it's necessary. This is the argument. I don't subscribe to it fully, but I think there's something to it. And point is that Google is the ring, because we all think we have, omniscience at our fingertips with Google. Google is the ring. And so if you believe in this sort of parable about invisibility and anonymity being corrupting, then it's not just the power structure that drives Google's decision-making that is susceptible to injustice. Bob in Buffalo Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call and getting to me. Question for you. Have you ever checked and searched your name on Google? Because when I did my name and a few other keywords, it brought up my artificial intelligence page.
Uh-huh.
So I was wondering, what yours might say in terms of your background and what Google thinks of you.
Right-wing extremist.
I just Googled you, Dan.
Yeah, what comes up? Public enemy.
You gotta see this picture. Could you Google yourself right now? Because it's hysterical. When did you take that picture? Is that your high school graduation picture?
Why don't you describe it to me? What picture?
Well, you're wearing a suit. It looks, you don't have the same hairdo. Thank God.
Before I was a Florida hillbilly.
Exactly. And you're wearing a suit. I think it's your gubernatorial candidacy photo.
Well, I mean, the way
then there's a picture of you on the golf course, your Twitter picture, and then there's a picture of you, I think, in front of some board.
Fascinating. The way that you do the headshot is, I mean, and I model myself. You stand on the shoulders of the greats, and the great being Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell, the picture associated with his columns and on most of his book jackets is like from the 1950s. He's got black horn-rimmed glasses on, so he's ageless that way.
Right.
So he's, Thomas Sowell's north of 90 years old now, but you still see
never know.
You still see that headshot, because he doesn't do a lot of, TV shows and things like that. So, anyway, yeah, you wouldn't know. And that's what I do now. So I'm timeless if I just picture. Use that confirmation photo that I used when I ran for governor. So I just keep it. And then since I'm on the radio, so people don't see me, and then I'm mostly at private golf clubs, so people don't see me.
People do see you, Dan.
And then
you're at the Signature Bank video. You can see us on YouTube.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like stuff
Rumble.
a little bit. But I mean, most of the time, people don't know. I mean, they still think that I'm 5'2" and 280, like I said once on the radio. Henry in Mount Prospect.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Good morning. You guys are great as always. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that there are alternative search engines besides Google that people should be using. One example is something called DuckDuckGo.
Yep.
And if you actually type in attempted assassination, it doesn't come up. But if you continue with the TRU, all of the results for Trump do come up. So if you type attempted assassination of TRU, you'll get the results that you're looking for right there. So in addition, DuckDuckGo, supposedly doesn't keep track of your search results and a whole host of other things. So it's a good alternative that people should think about using.
Right. No, that's fair to point out. Thanks for the call, Henry. But of course, the problem is that those people are sophisticated enough to know about DuckDuckGo are probably already in the more likely than not in the Trump camp.
Right.
And so the influence that Google has, because it's the dominant player in that search engine sector, still is significant. So I still like the idea of scrutiny. Anytime like when Trump got banned, or anytime somebody gets shadow banned, the Twitter files reporting by Schellenberger, Taibbi, and others. All that stuff is important because it reminds the tech oligarchs that, the people are watching. And obviously with Musk's takeover of X, now you have an outlet to make sure you get some distribution for the efforts to hold the other tech platforms accountable. But I mean, it's a big deal, and I'm glad this happened, because I think it refocuses people's attention on big tech as another threat to free and fair elections. And so hopefully people will be more vigilant and be reporting more of these stories. And hopefully I'm sure Trump will say something about it and keep it in the news. It's just as important as ballot security programs.
Yeah, and I love the idea. I mean, we mentioned this earlier in the show that he's going to go back to Butler, Pennsylvania, possibly, and have an outdoor campaign event.
Don't know if it's going to be outdoor or not, but he's definitely going back to. He's announced he's going back to Butler, Pennsylvania for another rally. Can you imagine the attendance there? That'd be a perfect time to do the everybody Google Trump assassination attempt.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-973-3083. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-973-3083 now to secure your 1904p $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-973-3083.
All right, now I'm forced to watch you dancing with Chicago celebrities, and you're a little stiff, but you're lightening up as the dance goes on.
I learned a lot about ballroom dancing in a short period of time to do that.
It's hard. It's challenging.
It was. I had a great instructor. It was actually turned out to be a lot of fun. I put on a flawless performance, and yet
you came in second place
to Courtney Hall, but I think it was because I raised the most money.
Yeah.
And so you can't have all the hardware.
Oh.
So they distribute it. That's what I think happened.
Oh, so you got a participation trophy.
Yeah, so I mean,
I came in third in mine the year I did it. Kendall Gill was with me. Not with me, but he was competing too, and he pulled a Tanya Harding. Like he stopped.
He kneecapped you?
No, he stopped midway through his dance and was to the judge like, I can't, we got to start over. It's kind of embarrassing.
You can't start over.
He did. It was really
embarrassing. There are no do-overs in ballroom dancing, just like there's no do-overs in basketball.
I'm not kidding you. He stopped and was complaining to the judges, and then they started it over again.
Wow.
And then I never thought of him the same way ever
No, that is...
You don't do that.
That's outside the bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Boy.
You never heard that story before?
No. I'm shocked that Kendall Gill would,
succumb to that. And then he had a whiny face, too, like Tanya Harding, like... But I can't hear the music. Not a good look.
Boy. Illini great Kendall Gill. Sore loser when it comes to ballroom dancing. Who would have thunk it? In the 2 years since SCOTUS overturned Roe, abortion has become big business in Illinois. While other states have restricted abortions, Illinois has become a destination for women looking for abortions. You can help to reverse that trend by supporting a great organization called Preborn. Research shows that when pregnant girls or young women see their babies on an ultrasound, they are far more likely to choose life for that child. And Preborn provides ultrasounds for mothers facing crisis pregnancies. The cost of an ultrasound is just $28. That's it. It's all it takes to save the life of a baby. Your gift of $28 can give a mother who is abortion-minded the chance to see the truth of the baby that's growing inside her. For a gift of $140, you can do that for 5 moms and their babies. And maybe you're someone who has the means to give a gift of $15,000. If so, that's what it costs to purchase an ultrasound machine that can save the lives of thousands of babies for years to come. Regardless of what you're able to give, don't wait. Your gift to Preborn can make an immediate impact. To give that gift, just go to 560theanswer.com/preborn. It's all one word, 560theanswer.com/preborn, PREBORN, 560theanswer.com/preborn, or call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Attention maintenance coordinators and chief engineers. Welding is a craft requiring highly skilled personnel and specialized equipment. But who do you call when you need welding? Vance Industrial can perform all types of welding at your site or in their shop.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vance Industrial. As a metal fabricator and installer, welding is a huge part of our business. At Vans, we have trained AWS certified welders, skilled in welding all types of alloys. We can weld carbon steel, stainless steel, brass, and aluminum with a variety of techniques, including MIG, TIG, and stick. We have equipment to reach the farthest parts for the tightest areas of your facility.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your welding project today. That's 833-VANSIND. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
Do you just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, it's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
What does it take for organizations to triumph? It takes trust. But trust is getting harder and harder to gain, which is why over 2,700 organizations display the ECFA seal. The ECFA seal gives your organization the third-party credibility that people are literally looking for. And in turn, an estimated 14 million givers support ECFA-accredited organizations. Let us help you maintain a trusted reputation as you reach the world for Christ. Visit ecfa.org/triumph to learn more.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more today at earthworksinc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, I love this guest.
Yeah, so at 8:38, we'll talk border security and the impact of Kamala's entrance into the race on that particular issue with Tom Homan, former acting director of ICE, at 8:38.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Rain showers, 73 degrees, and big problems this morning as you roll on the inbound side of the Bishop Ford, still majorly stacked up. Earlier police activity from a shooting along the inbound Bishop Ford had things stacked up all morning long. It has just been reopened inbound between 130th and the Dan Ryan, but still big delays there this morning. President Biden will propose term limits for Supreme Court justices. He'll also push for a constitutional amendment, he says, to override the court's recent decision that the president enjoys some immunity for official acts. Israel affirming Hezbollah will pay the price after blaming the Lebanese militant group for a rocket attack in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights that killed 12 Arab Druze children. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he's worried about a further escalation.
We stand by Israel's right to defend its citizens from terrorist attacks. We also don't want to see the conflict escalate. We don't want to see it spread.
Hezbollah firmly denies it was behind the strike. Israeli warplanes did coordinate airstrikes deep into Lebanese territory. Former President Trump says he'll continue holding outdoor rallies following the attempt on his life earlier this month. Vice President Harris, the presumptive Democrat nominee, is heading to Houston this week for the funeral of Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. A shooting investigation has just wrapped up along the along the Bishop Ford as you head to the Dan Ryan. Illinois State Police troopers responding this morning to that shooting incident, saying a person suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Police have ID'd a body that was pulled from Lake Michigan near 31st Street yesterday. It was hours later the Cook County Coroner's Office ID'd him as 40-year-old Lorenzo Tobin of Carroll Stream. Police have confirmed that Tobin was the man who went missing after a oversold yacht capsized near 31st Street Beach on Friday. Cubs winners over Kansas City 7-3. Cubs and Rays make a notable move ahead of the trade deadline. Cubs acquiring third baseman Isaac Paredes from Tampa Bay in exchange for Christopher Morel. White Sox lost to the Mariners 6-3 on Sunday. U.S. men's basketball team in the Olympics off to a winning start, smashing Nikola Jokic and Serbia 110-84. U.S. women's soccer team blew out Germany 4-1 to improve to 2-0. The news is a service of USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, and reliable. Learn how at usps.com/advantage. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk wants early numbers.
The thing we have to emphasize is how many voters are we registering, how many ballots are we chasing, and are we able to dominate in voting month? Election day is the last day of voting. The Democrats have run up the score in 40 days before Election day. We are going to do our part to try to close that gap.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit quickdelivery.com. That's quickdelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with quickdelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome. So if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. suburbanweldingandsteel.com.
8:37. Let's get a check on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Inbound on the Bishop Ford has just been reopened from earlier police activity as they investigate a shooting inbound between 130th and the Dan Ryan. The Eisenhower Expressway jammed up between Harlem and Ogden, inbound right now at 1 hour into the old post office, and the Kennedy 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Variable clouds, rain and a thunderstorm throughout the day. Very humid, high near 80. Cloudy and 73 at O'Hare. Rain in Aurora, 71. Light rain in Kankakee and DuPage Airport, and 73 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This is one of the most important clips from Kamala's complete record over the last 8 years, I'd say. We've brought you this before, but let's do it again. This is 2018, then Senator Kamala Harris, insinuating a comparison of ICE to the Ku Klux Klan. This was in a confirmation hearing for a nominee for Assistant Homeland Security Secretary for ICE named Ronald Vitiello. And this is how that went.
Klan was what we would call today a domestic terrorist group.
Why? Why would we call them domestic terrorist group?
Because they tried to use fear and force to change political environment.
And what was the motivation for the use of fear and force?
It was based on race and ethnicity.
Right. Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
Officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a
that
perception?
puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking you. Are you aware of a perception that the way that the discretion
I see no parallel.
I'm not finished.
I see none.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants and specifically among immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America? Are you aware of that perception?
I do not see a parallel between the power and the authority that ICE has to do its job and the agents and officers who do it professionally and excellently with lots of compassion.
Sir, how can you be the head of an agency and be unaware of how your agency is perceived by certain communities?
There is a lot of perceptions in the media and in the public that are incorrect about the agency.
But the perception exists, would you agree? Whether or not it's correct. And wouldn't you agree then that if that perception exists, there might need to be some work done to correct the perception?
I do want to advocate for the workforce, the vital public safety mission that they have to protect the homeland. And I think more people need to know how valuable they are to the society. So I agree with you on that.
She thinks she's being clever when it's just a grotesque an unfair insinuation. It's just an attempt to smear while saying, I just said there's a perception out there. I'm not comparing ICE to the KKK, but there's a perception out there that ICE is the KKK. Oh, really? Well, the perception is among people who are nitwits, like members of Congress in your party that are calling for defunding ICE. Well, like you, who are also calling for defunding of ICE. That's a conversation we need to have. That's what Kamala Harris said when she was a senator. But you see the very cheap rhetorical artifice used by Kamala Harris. That's the kind of stuff that brought her approval rating down into the mid-20s. And that's where it will return to before too long if this campaign against her is prosecuted properly, in my view. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined again by Tom Homan, who's the former acting director of ICE. And Tom, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, I mean, I know you are very familiar with Kamala Harris and forays like what we just played. But, I mean, just your general reaction to her entrance into the race and the effort by the D.C. press corps to try to rehabilitate her image.
Well, look, if Kamala Harris was to become president, we were going to be worse off than ever because she's worse than Joe Biden. Because at one point, Joe Biden used to support law enforcement. He supported, when he was vice president, Barack Obama, ICE arrested and removed 409,000 people, which was a record at the time. So Kamala Harris, look, she's on record wanting to abolish ICE. She's on record supporting sanctuary cities. And look, she's on record vilifying the men of the Horse Patrol, claiming they were racist and whipping black people when in fact that didn't happen. And look, Ron Patel is a friend of mine, but Ron Patel should have shot back to her. Well, first of all, ICE is enforcing the laws written by Congress and signed by the president. They're not making this stuff up. And as far as what perception is because the media is shifting the narrative in a false way. Because if you look at what the Trump administration did when I was there, 91% of everybody ICE arrested was not just in the country illegally. They were a criminal. They were convicted of a crime or pending criminal charges. So prioritization, as always, was in the Trump administration. Matter of fact, the percentage of criminals arrested in the Trump administration is much higher than what the Biden administration has done. So bottom line is, you want to argue about this, what ICE really is, look at the data. The data is clear in it, but of course she's not going to look at the data because it doesn't support her hate of law enforcement.
I know you're still in contact with a lot of the guys on the front lines there. Do you have any sense, this is the question that everybody wants answered. We talked to Mark Morgan about this. Do you have any sense of what the interactions are between Department of Homeland Security personnel, perhaps other agencies' personnel, and people in this country illegally as it pertains to getting them in the pipeline to vote?
So look, we know that's happening, right? There's been several instances where they've been caught. Bottom line is, as I said I did a Fox show this morning, saying, look, what's happening to the southern border, when they unsecured the border, the first president in history of the nation, Biden, came in and unsecured the most secure border we ever had. Only president ever to do that. And people say, why? Why would they do it? Why would they do it? Well, it's obvious. It isn't mismanagement. It isn't incompetence. This is by design. They want to bring millions of people in this country for two reasons. Number one, Biden also overturned the Trump census rules, so these millions of illegal aliens being released into sanctuary cities will be counted in the next census. What does that mean? More seats in House of the Dems. Mm-hmm. And now they're talking about a mass amnesty, and Kamala Harris pushing a mass amnesty plan, which is going to make these people legally here and down the road citizens to vote. This is all about selling the security and the sovereignty of this nation out for future political power. There's no other reason to unsecure a border and create the biggest national security vulnerability I've seen in this nation. 148,000 dead Americans in fentanyl, 600% increase in sex trafficking, a record number of people on terrorist watch lists being across the border, over 2 million gotaways. No one does this without a purpose. And so people need to understand there's no, and I say this every time, every Democrat I meet on Hill, I'll tell me what's the downside on a secure border, sir. What is the downside on a secure border? What's the downside on less overdose deaths? What's the downside on less drugs? What's the downside on less illegal immigration? What's the downside on less trafficking in women and children? What's the downside on less terrorists? What's the downside on criminal cartels making a hell of a lot less money? What's the downside? There is no downside. They did this for a future political purpose.
What do you know about this caravan that's coming up from southern Mexico? I hear it's anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 people. And that I know our aldermen here in Chicago are preparing for up to 5,000 people that would be coming in for the DNC.
You're going to be seeing more caravans because right now they are scared to death. The criminal cartels in Mexico are scared to death that President Trump's going to win the White House. And if he does, he's going to shut this down. And that's why the numbers have dropped under Biden recently. One reason is they're playing a shell game. They're pushing people to a CBP1 app and to the CHNV, saying they're legal pathways. So they're playing a game of the numbers and lying to American people. But second of all, Mexico's actually stepped up enforcement. Why is Mexico all of a sudden step up enforcement after 3.5 years? Because they don't want Trump to be president either, because that means the criminal cartels are out of business. That means much of the Mexican law enforcement and the Mexican government isn't getting their mordida. Their bribe money from the cartels. They don't want President Trump to secure the border either. Look, Mexico has no reason to secure the border. They got $61 billion, would it be? $61 billion remittance payments last year from illegal aliens sending back to Mexico. This is all to prevent President Trump from becoming president. And their efforts are going to fail because President Trump will be our next president, and we will secure the border within 90 days.
Yeah, speak to that a bit in terms of securing the border in 90 days. What does that look like? And then a corollary to that is the deportation of people in this country illegally in some sort of prioritized way. You know, how quickly could that come together? How realistic is it to get to scale?
Well, securing the border is just a matter of dusting off the Trump policies that were the most effective. They're a game changer. Remain in Mexico, game changer. 30 safe country agreements, a game changer. And catch release. If people realize they're not going to be released after they cross the border, they're going to not come. And we put the Remain in Mexico program in place. After about 90 days, people stopped coming. When they realized they weren't being released in the United States to go off into the abyss, they stopped coming because they know, based on court data, 9 out of 10 people who claim asylum at the border will get an order removal because they simply don't qualify for asylum. They stopped coming, which a lot of lives were saved doing that. We'll continue building the wall. As far as deportation operations, left wants you think there's going to be neighborhood sweeps and Trump's going to build concentration camps, nothing further from the truth. I mean, Trump, like I just explained, 9 out of 10 people ICE arrested under Trump were criminals. Criminals and national security threats always have to be first, and that's where it's going to be. And so we're going to be looking for those who find order, those who had due process at great taxpayer expense, and were ordered removed. Now, you got to understand now that Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren talk about mass amnesty, if you award mass amnesty to the millions of people they release in the country that have been ordered removed, then we're never going to fix the border crisis because we're going to prove once again you can cross the border legally. You can even lose your case, get order removed by a federal judge. But you know what? If you go hide out long enough, we're going to give you something. We can't do this. We have to secure the border. There has to be consequences for crossing that border. And those who've been ordered removed after receiving due process at great taxpayer expense need to be removed. That's what the law requires, and that's what we need to do.
And a resource issue. You know, this is the crutch that the Dems have been using. Oh, we tried to provide more funding for border agents and more immigration judges and so forth, and the Republicans didn't act in a bipartisan way. You know the rap. But from the substantive point of view, address the resource issue. Do more funds need to be provided for more border agents, for more immigration judges to take the measures that you described in an effective fashion?
Well, look, first of all, this is what Biden did isn't a resource issue. It's a policy issue. If he would have kept the Remain in Mexico, third safe country agreement, and continue ending catch release, they wouldn't have the mess they had. So this is mainly a policy issue. Of course, law enforcement would always need more resources. But here's what the Dems are doing. They're pushing this false narrative that President Trump and Republicans blocked bipartisan legislation that could have fixed the border. That is a stone-cold lie. Fact, first of all, the Dems blocked H.R. 2, which is the most significant border restriction ever in the history of this nation. And we know it would work. Why would H.R. 2 work? Because we proved it worked, because much of H.R. 2 is a Trump policies. Why would the Republicans negotiate against known success? H.R. 2 would work. But Schumer and the Senate, and Democrats in the Senate shut it down, wouldn't even discuss it. Then they put this bipartisan plan together with a couple of foolish Republicans signing on to it. They thought, well, getting a little bit is better than nothing. wrong. That plan, if anybody actually read that bill and they still agree with it, they're an idiot. Because if you read the bill, it does a couple things. Number one, it says ends catch release. No, it doesn't. Go to page 114 and 116. If you claim asylum, you will be released. And what's everybody doing? Claim asylum. It did nothing about child trafficking. It did nothing about family groups. It said 5,000 illegal entries a day are okay. But once you go on beyond 5,000, we'll take steps to secure the border. That's not okay. 1.8 million illegal aliens a year is not okay. Why is that number 5,000? Why isn't it 1? True border security is 1. So we got to reverse that narrative that Dems own right now. That we didn't shut down a bill that would fix the border. They shut down a bill that would fix the border. We nearly shut down a bill that wouldn't work and would just continue the massive illegal immigration that we're seeing today.
You've had interactions with Kamala Harris during your time in the federal government. She comes across to me as not just sort of, throwing in with the essentially the far left position on border security as well as policing, but she comes across to me as particularly antagonistic towards people like Border Patrol agents or police officers just generally. What's your impression?
You're exactly right. You just look at her history. I mean, she supported sanctuary policies when she was in San Francisco. She supported sanctuary policies as a senator. Remember during all the riots, I heard she set up a fund to help bail out people that not only attacked cops, actually killed a few. So all these riots, she was behind. Let's bail these people out. And so she doesn't support law enforcement. She wants to abolish ICE. And if you actually look what ICE does, ICE just doesn't enforce immigration law. They enforce drug trafficking, gun trafficking, and drug trafficking. They investigate human trafficking. They investigate technology being stolen and sold to our enemies across the world that can be used against our war fighters. ICE does a lot of national security. They work with the FBI and the Joint Terrorism Task Force, identifying terrorists in the country and trying to stop them from either entering or finding them in the country and moving them. They do a lot of national security work, but she doesn't even think about it. I don't think she even knows what they do. She just focuses on immigration. Let me tell you something. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. And as far as they're saying, well, illegal aliens commit less crimes than Americans, really? Because every illegal alien is a criminal, because when you cross the border, it's a violation of the United States Code Title 8, 1325. It's a crime to enter the United States illegally. So every illegal alien in this country is a criminal because they enter the country in violation of federal law. So, and as far as the Cato Institute saying those who are illegally commit less crimes, there's more flaws in that study because they're combining illegal aliens with legal aliens. The illegal aliens, by far, are pretty law-abiding because they want to become U.S. citizens down the road. They just don't want to have a green card, so they're going to behave themselves. So, it's just not true. Kamala Harris, either she don't understand it or she's outright lying about it.
Tom Homan, former acting director of ICE. Tom, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
Nope, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
All right, let me ask you something. Is arthritic joint pain keeping you from doing the things you love? Bone-on-bone pain in your knees, hips, back, or shoulder? Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And there are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. Our good friends at QC Kinetic, nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. We're talking cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. You know what? They've helped thousands of patients. And if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or an injury, guess what? Steroid surgery, pain pills, no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. You know, the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are already there, ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, gosh, I don't know why I have a problem with that word, regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. Call for a free consultation now. They'll walk you through the process, show you how it works. They have Saturday appointments and new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. The number to call, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
AM 560, The Answer.
General, anything to add? General Proft?
You're looking at me in the eye again. Avert your eyes when you address me. That's senior staff only.
Yeah.
The Kamala program.
Oh, my gosh.
Fun stuff.
More information every day. Oh, speaking of fun, you know that you were talking about Saturday Night Live?
The fun.
I'm also America's cool aunt. A fun aunt. I call that a funt.
Have a wonderful day. Thanks, as always, to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. And we're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. now. Let's get the latest. Here's Mike Scott.
A body discovered in Lake Michigan just days after a boat crash, and a man and a 3-month-old baby shot in a little village targeted shooting. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.
There's a crisis of confidence in the Supreme Court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Vice President Harris says, as President Biden, who she's replaced as the presumptive Democratic 2024 nominee, calls for Supreme Court reform. Fox's Mark Meredith reports from the White House.
The president believes justices should serve no more than 18 years at a time. He also wants a constitutional amendment to limit the kind of immunity presidents would have once they leave office. In a